is our not core 20, Kaldheim set review. We're halfway through. Yesterday we did white, blue, black, and red, and today we're going to do a couple that we missed because they came out a bit on the late side, as well as green, multicolored lands and artifacts. So far, the set looks really good, doesn't it, Aaron?
Yes, I'm very excited for it, and there's a few green cards as well that I'm really excited to look at.
As if green didn't need any more kind of pumping up. Yeah, I would say that green and red are the strongest two colours in Standard at the moment, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, Gruul Adventures is arguably the best deck in Standard.
Yeah. So mono green food as well is big, and then Dimir Rogues is probably the next best deck, is it?
Yeah, and Esper Doom Foretold, Urian decks are probably up there. There's quite a variety of them. So
yeah, so we're going to be focusing. If you missed our previous video, it's on YouTube. If you check out the YouTube channel, Dice Cup on YouTube. Also, we are going to be looking at it from a constructed point of view. So we're going to be looking at it from play mainly in Arena and Historic. What arena decks can this go in? Is it worth spending your wild cards to get these cards? But if they might see play in older formats or other formats, or where they might be good, we will mention that too, and maybe a couple of limited comments. But we're aiming mainly for Standard. Will these cards see play in Standard? What decks can they go in? Will they create new decks and things like that?
Yeah.
So yesterday we missed out 2 cards because they came out late. So we're going to start with those. The first card we're going to get to is a black mythic that we missed out. And it's Haunting Voyage. It's a sorcery for 4 and 2 black. And it says, choose a creature type. Return up to 2 creature cards of that type from your graveyard to the battlefield. If the spell was foretold, you could return all creature cards of that type from your graveyard to the battlefield instead. And you foretell it for effectively 1 more mana.
Right then. So this reminds me of, what was it called? It was in like Shadows over Innistrad, I think. Ever After, was it?
Ever After, yeah.
Ever After was a 6 mana return 2 from your bin to the battlefield. Same thing. However, obviously, this has the upside of if you foretell it, you can get all of them. I suppose as well, this cares about tribal decks, so probably only goes in a tribal deck. But yeah, it's okay. I don't know what deck it really fits in currently.
There was a card from Zendikar. There was a party card, and it said, bring back 1 creature to the battlefield and then 1 party member. So that brought 2 back in a party deck. And the problem with that is that the party mechanic made it cheaper. You could cast that for 2 mana if you had a full party. So
7 is a lot, but to bring back your entire graveyard, that is a very powerful effect.
So I can imagine this going in every tribal commander deck that has black.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the sort of thing. I think in Standard, what tribes are there in black? I mean, I suppose there might be elves, but would elves want this? Maybe they would, actually. Maybe elves can ramp into this, but
it's a lot of mana for elves, I feel.
The party one doesn't see play, and that can potentially be like 2 or 3 mana. And I understand the party deck isn't really a deck, but even when people try and do like a janky party deck, this doesn't see play in it. This isn't the card you put in it. So,
I mean, maybe as like a one-off in Clerics, I'd maybe consider it.
Maybe.
Or in Angels, actually.
I think there's other incidental bring things back to the graveyard. So you would literally be playing this if it's in your deck for the foretell.
Yeah, that's I think that's why you want to be playing it.
Ever After saw play because it was like a graveyard themed set with shadows. Also, it put itself back on the bottom. It shuffled itself. Didn't shuffle back in, but you could get it back from your library.
Mm-hmm.
So you could play 2 of them, but you could hit them a few times if you had shuffle effects.
Yeah.
And maybe if zombies was a deck, maybe this is a sort of thing because zombies would want to be recurred or whatever. But I'm just not sure there's a mono black tribal deck.
I think it's too much mana as well. It's a really cool effect that in Commander feels like a Commander card.
There's also one of the ultimatums brings back one of every different card name.
Yes, the Abzan one.
And then there's Nethroi, one of the 3-color mutate guys that brings back up to 10 power. And even they don't see play, and I think they're more versatile in this. So I don't think this will see Standard play.
So, I mean, if you look at it from a limited point of view, like this is a good pack 1, pick 1, but then you have to go into a black tribe, right? So what black tribes are? There's Berserkers, Elves. Is that it?
I don't know if some warriors are black. I mean, you could be black. You could be like Mardu warriors maybe, or I just
Okay.
I'm not sure I even picked this pack one.
Really?
If there's like if there's like that common black removal exile spell over this, it might be correct to pick that.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I just think in standard there are cheaper ways to bring back one or two creatures, or better ways to bring back more.
But every commander tribal deck,
Yeah, definitely.
Back, chuck
like,
it in.
Like even like 5-color dragons or whatever. Like just bringing back your whole board of big stupid things.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
Cool card, but not constructed playable.
I agree. Hi, Tusky Merlin. Welcome for watching. Icebreaker Kraken is our other one that we missed yesterday. It is a Snow Kraken for 10 and 2 blue. It's an 8/8, but it costs 1 less to cast for each snow land you control, not snow permanent. When Icebreaker Kraken enters the battlefield, artifacts and creatures target opponent controls don't untap during that player's next untap step. And you can return 3 snow lands to your owner's hand to return it to its owner's hand.
Don't like it. I'll put that out there. So if you have, I suppose, the maximum efficiency, like for value wise, like you can get out turn 6 if you make sure you got snowland every land drop, I guess. If you haven't ramped or anything. And then it sucks that it doesn't tap the creatures.
That was what I was going to say. Yeah. I think when you're behind, it kind of gives you a turn. But when you're ahead, it doesn't win you the game. There was a card from Shadows of Innistrad. Was it Subjugator Angel or something from one of the older sets? Which was an angel that when it came in, you kind of bounced your opponent's tapped creatures or team or something.
Yeah.
That won you the game when you cast it, and that was like 6 mana. This is effectively 6 mana at best, if not worse, and it doesn't win you the game because if they're not attack, if you're not in a race situation, you don't take their creatures out of combat for a turn.
Yeah,
they can still block. If it tapped lands as well, I would be much. Oh, if it tapped snow lands, maybe if you tap your opponent's snow lands, I think you might see a bit better. But I think it's fine in limited. I think. But you need to be a heavy snowland deck, otherwise it won't see play. I don't think.
You'd probably try and draft as many off-color snowlands just to get the reduction effect.
So this is the sort of thing that if its effect is a bit better, would be a reanimation target.
Yeah.
But like Aaron says, when it comes in, it doesn't tap. It's not a cast ability, so you could blink
it.
You could blink it or reanimate it or something to get that effect, but like. They could have it doesn't tap their Gilded Goose, and their Gilded Goose can chump it on the turn they're tapped out.
Yeah.
So it's just too expensive. Won't see play.
Yeah, definitely not.
So it's a good thing they were the 2 cards that we missed, and they weren't really playable. So
yeah.
We're going to move on to green now, and we're going to start with our first green mythic of the set. This is Battle Mammoth. It's an elephant, a 6/5 elephant for 3 and 2 green. It has trample. And whenever opponent you control becomes a target of a spell or ability and opponent controls, you may draw a card. You can also foretell it for 4, 2 and 2 green.
Okay, so probably the closest thing you compare this to currently in standard is Elder Gargaroth. It's same mana. It's 6 power. Elder Gargaroth does have vigilance and reach though. However, I really like that second part of the card where it says whenever a permanent you control becomes the target of a spell or an ability is, I think, really, really good there. So it's like Banishing Light, ECD, any Planeswalker. Then you get to start drawing cards as well. That, I think, might be what lets this be standard playable by it saying ability as well as spell. And it's any permanent as well. So it's a bit like Shaper's Sanctuary, but that was like an enchantment, I believe, on its own from Ixalan.
Yeah, Shaper's Sanctuary saw a lot of sideboard play against decks that have a lot of spot removal.
Yes, for sure.
And this would work well against Planeswalkers as well.
Mm-hmm. And I suppose if you foretell it on turn 4, that seems okay as well. Getting this out turn 4, it dies to Lovestruck Beast.
I think Elder Gargoth. I think Elder Gargoth draws you cards as well, and
yeah,
is Elder Gargoth's a house against mono red.
Yeah, because it gets to gain life as well. When
Yeah, well, mono red can go face. If you can't deal your creatures, it can potentially go face. So it can't against in the mono green mirror. I would rather have Elder Gargoth.
Yeah.
And against like a Gruul aggro deck, I would rather have that. And if this is going to go in Gruul aggro or mono green, what's it replacing? Is it replacing Feasting Troll King or Questing Beast? Because bear in mind this can be cast for 4 mana. Is it replacing those? You can't attack into a Lovestruck Beast, as always.
Yeah, that is, I think, one of the biggest problems with standard at the minute. Like, your creature has to be good enough to deal with Lovestruck Beast on turn 3.
Yeah. It's bigger than Bonecrusher Giant, so at least it doesn't get blocked by Bonecrusher Giant, which is another thing. But, like, if they're not playing targeted removal, if they're trying to race you or go bigger than you, I would rather have Elder Gargoth, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Even, like... So, Elder Gargoth kind of doesn't really do anything the turn you play it. I mean, if they do attack, you can obviously block, and then you get some
3 life for 3/3 or draw a card. I mean, that stacks up quickly.
Yeah, but yeah, this thing is just not good in combat at all compared to Elder Gargoth. So yeah, I'd probably be playing that over this.
So I think when Eldraine rotates out, and if there is a mono green big green deck, this will see play because Elder Gargoth will also rotate out as well. I just think this might need to wait until Questing Beast is not Questing Beast. Questing Beast because it takes the 4-drop slot. And Lovestruck Beast. But it's powerful. I mean, this is a house in Limited.
Oh, God, yeah.
This will 2-for-1 them. They'll probably have to waste a removal spell and you get to draw a card of it. They're going to have to kill this. Because they can't use their removal spells on your other creatures first, because this is huge.
If you have this in your opening hand, oh my God, again, it's out turn 4. Ooh, I'd love to do that.
And even if they deal with it straight away, you draw a card of it. So I think it's great. But I think
it's Limited for sure.
I think it's really good. Maybe it's a sideboard card in mono green for...
If targeted, if like Esper...
Like if the control decks... The problem is control decks have just got a new Fancy Wrath, so I'm not sure that will be the case. But maybe like mono black, some sort of mono black, if they've got Heartless Act and the different kind of black removal spells, this might be the sort of card you bring in just to gain the card advantage. But like, why not just play Great Henge?
Yeah, I agree.
Great. Green's already got so much great card advantage, so yeah, I'm not sure. It's a good card. Good card. Might be outclassed by others. Right, we're going to move on to Blessing of Frost, which is a snow sorcery. I think every colour's had one of these snow
they have.
Sorceries, which is 3 and 2 green, and it says distribute X +1/+1 counters among any number of creatures you control, where X is the amount of snow spent to cast a spell. Then draw a card for each creature you control with power 4 or greater.
Okay, so distribute X +1 among any number of creatures. So at most, X will be 4. And that is like at most. I suppose like mono green, snow, maybe like mono green just play snowlands instead now, and then this card would be considered maybe for that deck.
Yeah, I definitely think this is there, and this might break the board stall. Also gives you a source of card advantage in a mono green deck. You're going to be drawing cards with this card because you're going to be putting counters on things that already either are 4 power or greater or a 3 power, and you get them there.
Yeah.
So I think this could break the mirror if you're playing this and your opponent isn't. You do this, your team's bigger than their team now. Your Elder Gargoth's an 8/8, and then you get to draw 3 cards off this.
Yeah, I'll definitely be trying it. Like, is Call of the Wild Speaker, is that better though?
Call of the Wild Speaker is draw cards equal to the highest.
Instant.
Yeah, to the highest power creature. So I think for card draw, this is not as good as Call of the Wild Speaker, but Call of the Wild Speaker, the pump on that only pumps for the turn, doesn't it?
It's plus
your
3,
creatures
plus 3.
+3.
Yeah, to all
Maybe.
non-humans.
I think you're right there. I hadn't considered that. I think this is the card that is going to be competing with this one for a play. Does Call of the Wild Speaker see play?
No. It's a 5 mana instant, but this is also awful when you're behind. Like, if you have nothing on board, this is a dead card.
So, yeah. So do you think it might see play in like a go wide counter-based deck? Do you think, what about green-white? You go Conclave Mentor, is it?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, +1/+1 counter deck, maybe.
Yeah, well, if you've got that guy out, this gives you 8 +1/+1 counters.
Yeah.
If you've got 4 creatures, I think. And then you get to draw 4 cards again. So maybe it's if there is a +1/+1 counter deck, that's probably where this goes then.
Yeah,
maybe it doesn't go in mono green. So maybe I think this is a fringe of playability. It's a really powerful effect.
Mm-hmm. But just play Great Henge instead, right?
Yeah, why would you not?
that puts +1 counters and draws you cards. So
yeah, Great Henge's so powerful. You've seen the price of it now.
Oh god,
it's like $40 or something.
Dumb.
Right, we have a second Snow Sorcery. This is an uncommon that I think Aaron asked me to put in. It's for 1 green mana. It's choose target creature you control and target creature you don't control. If you control 3 or more snow permanents, that creature you control gains +1 snot and it gains indestructible. And then they fight each other.
So mono green is already, obviously we've already talked about it being the deck already. Now just replace all the basics for snow basics, and now you've got a very good removal spell. Basically, it's Prey Upon with upside. And mono green decks already played Prey Upon in the sideboard and stuff like that.
I thought it was Primal Might they played, which is
I suppose there is Primal Might, which can pump. But this pumps for 1 mana, I guess.
Primal Might doesn't pump, but Primal Might can kill something. Obviously, if you play a Love Struck Beast, Primal Might's killing anything you're fighting probably on turn 1.
Yeah. Just give it indestructible.
Yeah.
So you also then got a good attacker. You got free attack. I like it.
Yeah, though. I suppose you could make your 6/5 new guy, Mystic guy, indestructible. 7/5 with trample, and then swing in, kill their biggest thing, and swing in.
I quite like it in mono green. Just change all the basics into snow basics, and this goes in the deck.
Do you think it's better than Primal Might?
Primal Might's got the versatility, right, with having X on it.
Yeah. Because there'll be some times where they've got Love Struck Beast out and you've got a 3/3, and this won't kill it, but Primal Might will.
Yeah, that's true.
Because Primal Might gives +X, which means your guy will survive if you pump enough X into it. I understand this makes it indestructible, but it doesn't pump enough. So I don't know. I think they're competing with each other. Maybe this will see more play because it's just always 1 mana.
Yeah. Well, I'll see, I guess. Yeah, I suppose you have to play all the snow basics, though, right?
Yeah, so it probably only goes in mono green because I think when you're playing a 2-color deck, you're going to be playing the temples, and I'm not sure in an aggro deck you're going to be playing the snow jewels, which we'll come to later. So we're also going to be playing Castle Garenbrig and things as well.
Yeah, that's true.
And turn Timber Symbiosis. You play that in mono green, so maybe you get to turn 5. And you still haven't got 3 basics out. So I think, maybe this is only better than Primal Might if you're always sitting indestructible.
Oh, someone mentioned in chat, Primal Might loses against Questing Beast in the mirror, which is correct, yeah. It gets around the Death Touch.
Okay, fair enough, yeah. So it beats... It's better against Questing Beast as long as you've got a big enough creature, I suppose. Yeah, okay, fair enough. I mean, Primal Might can have your Goose trade with the Questing Beast, though. So, it's not ridiculous. But yeah, okay. Yeah, I think it's again, finishes of playability. If there wasn't Primal Might in the format, this might have a better chance. Elvish Warmaster, it's our first green elf that we've seen. It's 1 and a green for a elf warrior. It's a 2/2, and it's whenever 1 or more elves enter the battlefield in your control, create a 1/1 green elf creature token. This ability triggers only once each turn. It's a good thing they put that line in. And then you've got 5 and 2. I think if that didn't, I think there might be some infinite combos there. But if you've got a second ability, it's 5 and 2 green. Elves you control get +2/+2 and gain Death Touch until the end of turn.
So I don't know if the problem with this tribe is that they already have some bonkers cards, and to try and make a new elf now that can compete with all the other 2-drop elves in I'm thinking about Modern, I guess, and Pioneer. Well, not so much Pioneer, but Modern and Legacy. It's so hard to create a new one, and I just don't think this is good enough for it because it says that it only triggers once each turn. And 7 mana to give your guys +2/+2 and Death Touch.
There was a card called Dwinion's Elite. It's when it came into the battlefield, if you control another elf, make a 1/1 elf token or something. And that's style play. Because that made 2 elves, but no more. This, if it lives a turn, it's the same as Dwinion's Elite, but if it lives more than 1 turn, it's better.
Yeah.
It reminds me of... it was El Azuri, the Renegade leader, and that has an overrun effect, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that was your payoff for Modern Elves for a few years ago, wasn't it? So
someone's in chat saying it does replace the Elite, Dwynen Elite.
Yeah, it's better than that, is it? I think so.
Yeah.
Matt spotted it. If it didn't say this ability triggers only once each turn, it itself is an infinite combo because it makes an elf, and then that elf makes an elf, and that elf makes an elf, and so on. Yeah. So I think if there's an elf deck, this will be a mainstay.
Yeah.
And if there isn't, it won't see play.
It does. This sort of card, though, it does die to stomp. Like, that's it. I don't think there's any creatures in the set that have 3 toughness as a 2-drop.
There is the bird, the blue bird, the half the god.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's true.
And then there's a 1/3 that makes snowlands hexproof and indestructible. So yeah, there are a few, but they're usually going to be in blue or green, aren't they?
Yeah, normally, yeah.
Yeah. If there's no elf deck, this will not see play. But it's close to being good enough for older elves. I think in Historic there's an elf ball deck.
Yeah.
With Vanquish's Banner and a lot of the elves from
Shaman of the Pack, I think, is there as well.
Yeah, and then there was a 2-mana elf that could tutor for itself again. It was a lord.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think this has got potential play in Historic, but maybe standard at the moment. It depends if there's an elf deck.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. We have a vehicle, our first standalone vehicle. All the other vehicles we've seen have been backs of cards, and it's a legendary artifact. It's 3 and a green for a 4/4 vehicle. It has crew 4, and it says when a Seeker's Chariot enters the battlefield, create 2 green cat creature tokens. And when Esika's Chariot attacks, create a token that's a copy of target token you control.
So looking at it itself, it's an engine, right? It provides the bodies, and it also then the ability works with the bodies it's provided. So that is quite good. But it won't see play, in my opinion. It's just it's a 4/4 for 4 essentially.
Yeah, if you've got like, I don't know, it's some sort of janky. What if you've got like, I'm just trying to be hypothetical. I don't think it will see play, but what if you've got something like a green-blue Sublime Epiphany? There was another card, Shark Typhoon. So when you cast this, you make a 4/4 Shark off Shark Typhoon.
Yeah.
And then it's not a creature, so it might live a turn to attack, and then you make another 4/4 Shark. Or if you play it with Sublime Epiphany and can copy something else, this will then get you another copy of the token you made with Sublime Epiphany. I understand it's a long shot, but maybe in a deck with Shark Typhoon, this might see play.
Yeah, potentially.
As a way to copy your... It makes you a shark, and then it can copy your sharks. The shark you get from this can crew it, even if the cats die.
Yeah, it's... I like it in limited, more so, if I'm honest.
Yeah. And if you can get some sort of other tokens in it, I think if your cats die and you've got no other tokens in play, even if you can crew this, it's just then a 4/4 vehicle for crew 4, and crew 4 is a bit too much for a vehicle.
Trying to think, like, what is the best sort of tokens that are currently made in standard that is copies that isn't the sharks? I don't think there is anything.
Well, you need a token producer as well. You need another token producer. That's why I'm thinking of blue. And Sublime Epiphany obviously makes a token of anything you've got. Matt's suggesting that some of the Eldrazi tokens you can make. You can like a Devastator Twin or something.
Maybe for sure.
Made a 10/10.
I have the Populate commander deck that I want to put this in because it seems really good.
Yeah, that's really good. Copying tokens. So I think it needs to go in a token deck, either maybe green-white or green-blue.
Yeah,
but at the moment,
big tokens, not just 1/1s.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. I think it needs to be making. So maybe like it plays well with the Vivians that make the 3/3s.
Yeah.
So maybe I just don't think it's the crew 4 is a bit too much for it to see constructed play.
I suppose in the green-blue deck as well, you could play that. Is it Jorel? When you ever draw more than one card a turn, make a cat.
Yes, right? Yeah. That's. I mean, you don't.
We're creating a deck here, but I don't.
I think it will be tier 3 at best. So yeah.
Yeah.
So nice card, nice flavor, not good enough. Our next one is a human warrior. It's a legendary creature for 1 and a green. It's a 1/3 Finn the Fangbearer, and it has Death Touch. And whenever a creature you control with Death Touch deals combat damage to a player, that player gets 2 poison counters.
So I wanted to include this card just because this makes an entire deck on its own. Like poison is an old Phyrexian mechanic and has a lot of sort of fans. And it's an alternate way to win the game, basically. And when you've got cards like Questing Beast already, and you just basically make a Death Touch tribal deck with this guy, and it seems pretty cool.
There was, and I will point this out, that when your creature deals combat damage, it's not dealing poison instead of damage. It's dealing poison as well as damage, if you read the way it works. So poison used to be, if you hit something with poison, they would take poison damage instead of regular damage.
Yeah.
But now they're getting both. And I think not only have you got Questing Beast, you've got that 6 mana one from Zendikar with flying and haste or whatever. It was a 4/4 with Death Touch. But it was cheaper I think it was cheaper for your party. This is a warrior, makes that guy cheaper.
Yeah, so he is a rogue, so yeah.
So I think if you go all out for the Death Touch,
you play 3 colours then because it's Jund. Because what's his name is Zagras, I think.
It begins with Z. But you've also got the other one you've got to think about is, which we're going to come on to, is Vorinclex.
It plays very well with that.
Which will double. Vorinclex is not Death Touch itself, but it will double the counters they get. So it will double the poison counters they get.
But this might make cards like Ambush Viper, the 1/1 with Death Touch for 1 green. That might be playable with this. However, I don't know if there is enough Death Touch creatures for the deck to be viable. Because once this is off the battlefield,
there is a 1/4 rare from maybe the core set with Death Touch that did something when Death Touch creatures attacked or something. Did it ping every time you attack with a Death Touch
they lose life? I think
ping them. So I think there are enough decent Death Touch creatures in Standard for this to have an engine. I think you need another payoff. Maybe the Blight Flang, whatever it is, will be that payoff. But this mono green can't blank this. Yeah. I tell you what, this is possibly a better deck for that +1/+0 and fight or Primal Might, because you've got Death Touch guys.
Yeah.
And you'll get, if you've got enough snow permanents, if you just do maybe straight green black and you don't play the haste guy. If you've just got snow lands and snow jewels and you go a bit slower and you basically fight and kill all their guys, you make your guy indestructible, you kill their Questing Beast, you kill their Elder Gargoth or whatever. This might have enough oomph behind it to get through mono green, which is the baddie of the format. Cool.
Well, you've got card draw, I suppose, for the deck as well with that. Is it Cheville, green black guy? Yeah. He has Death Touch as well.
Yeah, and he puts bounty counters on things, doesn't he?
Yeah. So that makes the Prey Upon sort of fight effects even better.
So I think there is a Death Touch deck. I think Ikoria had a Menace theme and a Death Touch theme. I think they had a 3-mana guy uncommon in green that put a Death Touch counter on a non-human you control, which is probably wasted in this deck. But then he could pump your team if they had Death Touch.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be nice to have a try building around. I think there isn't currently a deck, but I think you're right, Aaron. Until I stop to think about it, I think there might be enough playable Death Touch creatures in green and black to make this workable.
The only problem I do think is the linchpin card. That if they do remove it, then I don't know if the deck's good enough. But yeah, I mean, it'll be definitely one I'll be trying.
Well, if you've got Cheval and then you say, okay, put a bounty counter on that, fight him, draw my card back, next turn put a bounty counter on that, attack in. They can't attack into you with anything with a bounty counter on it or anything like that. Yeah. So maybe it's worth. I mean, maybe I'll try and build around this.
I'll definitely give it a go for sure.
Right. Yeah. Cool commander as well.
Yeah.
They're gonna hate if someone plays this against me, they will die quickly.
Yeah, if you play all a proliferate deck as well. Oof.
Yeah. Oof, yeah. So sweet card, potential build around, but not a current deck it goes in. Okay, another one we might disagree on here. In Search of Greatness for 2 green, it's an enchantment, and it says, at the beginning of your upkeep, you may cast a permanent spell from your hand with converted mana cost equal to 1, plus the highest converted mana cost amongst other permanents you control without paying its mana cost. If you don't, scry 1.
Okay. So it's good. I don't think it's insane. I don't think it will break any formats because it's giving you a very specific CMC that you have to cast. And I think that's the problem with it. If it was like at the beginning of your upkeep, you may cast a permanent spell from your hand with converted mana cost equal to 1 or equal to, or maybe less than 1 than the current card you have out, then I think it would be good enough. Otherwise, it is fine. Like, it's because you want to be curving out anyway. So you want to go turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, using all your mana in like it goes in the creature deck. But otherwise, I'm not a fan.
I weirdly think it goes in a deck with ley lines.
Yeah, I suppose if you put a ley line down in the first turn and get this out,
and then you play a Nissa turn 3.
Yeah, that's great.
Green and white ley line and black ley line are all 4 mana, aren't they?
Yeah.
So
I suppose it doesn't matter what ley line you put down. You just want to have 1 in your opening hand.
I don't think it will see play in standard
because we don't have ley lines.
Yeah. Okay. Basically, the important, when I first read this, I thought it was bonkers. It feels like they've tried to fix Fire's Invention, and I wish they won't print cards like this. I wish they wouldn't try. And if it's a fixed Fire's Invention that's not good enough, it just won't see play. So why have they printed it? And if it is good enough to see play, people are going to complain about it. So I wish they wouldn't print cards like this.
I know what you mean. Cheating on mana is always a very powerful ability that you need to keep an eye on.
When I first read this, the important bit is other permanents you control, so it doesn't count itself. So the first time you play this on turn 2, on turn 3 you get a free 1-drop because your land's a 0 CMC, so you get a 1-drop. And so a free 1-drop on turn 3 is not worth, in my opinion, wasting your turn 2. So I think unless you're trying to, basically, I think what you do is you play this in a deck, but even then you're just really going for it. But if you play it in a deck with, say, 8 ley lines, the 4 mana ones, you play with the white and the green one, and then you play a few mana ducks, and then you play this, and then some 5-drops, some bonkers 5-drops. But the problem is you need to have this. But if you play like in a white-green, I don't know, it feels like you're just trying to go through magical Christmas time. And I think like the green leyland's banned in Pioneer as well, isn't it? So
yes, it is, yeah.
I'm not even sure it sees playing Pioneer. So maybe historic with leylines, but even then, I think it's a fringe card. I don't think it will see play.
But yeah, I think a lot of people, when they first saw it, was like, oh, it's the new Ether Vial or whatever. But no, it's not. I mean, at least you get to scry 1 if you don't do absolutely anything.
I think it's fine in Commander.
Yeah.
I think you need the card draw to make sure you've always got the card to cast for free. But eventually, even in Commander, you'll cast your 8-drop and then you won't have anything else to cast because, you know, you'll not have a 9-drop ever. You'll get to a point where you've got maybe two free spells off this over the whole game, and then other than that, you're just scrying 1. So I'm not sure it's good enough.
Yeah, that's fair.
In my opinion,
double spelling is very powerful, though. If you can pull it off, I think
there will be games where this wins you the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but but it's situational, and I don't think it's good enough. I think it reminds me a bit of, was it Vivian's Arkbow, which I quite liked. You could basically discard a card for
you had to pay mana though.
Yeah, X and a green to discard a card to then search through your library, the top view in your library, and play 1 that's equal to the mana you spent or something. So that didn't. That's a sort of kind of free thing. You basically discard when you've got the mana, you discard a land. Matt says it's scry 1 every upkeep, not worth 2 green. I think in current standard, it's not fast enough. I don't think it is not worth it. But in Commander, it probably is.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. We have our first green god. It's Kovari God of Kinship for 2 and 2 green. It's a 2/4 that has, as long as you control 3 or more legendary creatures, Kovari gets +4/+2 and has Vigilant. And it has an ability, 1 and a green, tap it, look at the top 6 cards of your library, you may reveal a legendary creature card from among them and put them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order.
All right.
We also have,
the other side.
We have another side to this. The Ringheart Crest is a legendary artifact for 1 and a green. As the Ringheart Crest enters the battlefield, choose a creature type, and you can add 1 mana, spend this mana only to cast a creature spell of the chosen type or a legendary spell.
Okay, so you want to be playing this in a legendary deck. So it's a 4 mana 2/4. It's just not good enough. So it goes in a very specific sort of deck. And then you can look at the top 6 cards. You remember a legendary from them. So yeah. You really want to push legendaries with this. You want to make it a 6/6. That way you can deal with Lovestruck Beast, which is really good. I suppose, what have you got already? You got... Is Feasting Troll King legendary? It's not, is it?
No, but Questing Beast is.
Yeah, Question Beast is. And I suppose
Cogler.
Cogler, yeah,
ape,
the big monkey.
the ape is.
Yorvo is as well.
Yeah. There's
so, yeah.
the one where you cast 2 spells a turn and make a cat from Core 21.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But so in Commander, this is definitely built around legendary. This is possibly what this card's aimed for, some sort of mono green legendary only thing. My issue with it is this is really good actually. I think this is a good card, but this only counts about legendary creatures, so this doesn't help with your legendary count. But in the deck you're building, if you're building this legendary deck, this is really good. This is a 2 mana ramp artifact that taps for a colour. Like, it doesn't just tap for colourless, like, Mind Stone sees a lot of play in Commander, and a lot of the Commander ones are 2 mana. And this is really in the Commander there. I mean, this is basically, I don't know. As part of the 99 in Commander, I think this is really good, actually.
Even if it's not for a legendary deck, or
as part of the 99 in Commander, you can play this either way around. If you get this on turn 2, you've got your ramp, and if you get it later, you've got this, which even if it doesn't pump itself, has got look at the top 6, put a creature into your hand sometimes.
So do you play this as a commander, or
I think you could do either.
Because playing it as a commander and having a mana rock as your commander, that's brilliant.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I probably wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't do that. I don't think, unless you needed it. Like on turn 2, if you missed a land drop, maybe you do that. But
yeah.
I think it's right. But in standard, I think a bit like the Death Touch guy, if you're playing all the green legendaries, or maybe if you're doing 2 color, maybe you're doing green black legendaries or green blue legendaries or whatever, and you don't have this guy out, you're just playing an unsynergistic deck.
Definitely.
So I do not think it will see. You might see it as like a 1 of, or a 2 of, because this card is potentially. Because you can choose a creature type, so you can put it in a tribal deck as a 2 of, maybe you put it in elves, and maybe you can, if there's some legendary elves in the format, you can get some card draw, or you just ramp.
Yeah.
Turn 2, nothing else to do. Well, I'll play this and name elf, or I'll play this and name rogue, or whatever party card you need.
I suppose it works well with changelings as well. Like, you might be able to fit changelings in your legendary deck to find like curve fillers or whatever, and then the mana rock can cast them.
Yeah, and you can cast either the creature or the legendary. Yeah, so I think you might see this in a 2 of in a deck that doesn't care about legendaries.
Yeah.
For this side, and then potentially this side can maybe hit you a Questing Beast or something.
But it's another one of them cards as well. There you can play 4 of it, I think, because if you care that much about the legendary deck, you've got the mana rock and then this card on the other side.
So I think you play it for incidental rather than a build around.
Agree.
Right. Old Growth Troll. This is a Troll Warrior for 3 green mana. It's a 4/4 with trample, and it says when Old Growth Troll dies, if it was a creature, return it to the battlefield. It's an aura enchantment with Enchant Forest. You control, and Enchanted Forest has add 2 green mana. Or pay 1, sacrifice a land, and create a tapped 4/4 green Troll Warrior creature token with trample.
Okay, so I really like this card. It doesn't, obviously, we talked many a times about Lovestruck Beast. But I suppose you are tied to mono green with it.
Yep.
Does it replace Yorvo? Well, I don't think mono green currently plays Yorvo anyway. But it does replace itself. And that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That might be good. That's probably the reason why this will see play. Is because it will replace itself. And it can ramp you, I guess, if it does die.
I'm on the other side of this. I think I'm on the other side. I think when Lovestruck Beast rotates out, this will see play. I don't think it will see play otherwise. I think Yorvo is a triple green 4/4 already. And if they're not playing Yorvo, would they play this? What would they get rid of in the mono green deck to put this in?
Yeah, it's already pretty tight deck. That's the problem.
Yeah. So maybe it's maybe if you go a bit bigger, maybe a bigger mono green, because if they kill this, then you get an extra mana, and then when you've got too much mana, you just make another 4/4. It's effectively like a one-off regenerate, isn't it?
Also, it has to die, not exile.
Yeah.
So that is already another sort of downside to it with cards like ECD and Conclave.
I think we'll see this with a lot of the green cards. In that currently in the mono green big creature deck, it's already so good that anything that gets printed now to go in that has to be better. And I don't think this is better than Lustrous Priest. I think it's probably on par with Yorvo. They do different things, but I think it's on par in terms of power level and stats. It does have Trample, which Yorvo didn't have.
Yeah.
I don't think. But Yorvo's a giant, so maybe Yorvo sees play because of the giant synergies. If like there's a giant tribal deck that's playing the Realmcloak Giant Wrath, maybe you go back to playing Yorvo so you don't lose all your creatures. I don't know.
But triple green's a serious cost in like anything other than mono green.
Yeah. I don't think it goes in any of the deck really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I like the card.
It's good. It's a lot better than a lot of the other ones we've seen that said not see play. So this might see play, but I think it's probably fringe play.
Agree.
First Changeling, it's Realmwalker. I believe this was the first spoiler. I think this is also the buy a box promo.
Yeah, I think so.
If you get a box, you get a Realmwalker. It's 2 and a green for a Shapeshifter. That's a 2/3. It's a Changeling. That means it's every creature type. As Realmwalker enters the battlefield to choose a creature type, you may look at the top card of your library at any time, and you may cast creature spells of the chosen type from the top of your library.
So I think this is really good for any tribal deck that's in green. Like every single commander deck that is tribal based with green will play this. Elves, like if elves becomes a thing, definitely play this. Yeah, it's good. I like it. Yeah. It reminds me a bit of Vivian. Vivian's 5 mana though, the one that can let you cast any creature off the top of your deck. So yeah, this is being 3 mana.
There was the Vivian from War of the Spark was 3 mana, wasn't it?
Yes,
and it allowed you to cast spells at instant speed and do something with the top of your deck, didn't it? Look at the top 3, put 1 into exile, and cast it at any point, effectively.
But I don't think that really saw any play. 5 mana Vivian sees play in the Gruul Mirror. It's pretty good, and then in mono green, obviously.
So this will see play in Elves, I think.
Yeah, for
this
sure.
This will see play if there's a weird sort of Changeling deck as well.
But just the fact that it's also that creature type is probably what pushes it over the edge.
Yeah, it benefits from any Lord effect you've got. And I think there's a Wrath now in black. I think it says choose a creature type, and we might have looked at this. Choose a creature type and destroy all creatures not of that type.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think
we might not have seen that one. Maybe it's one other one we missed out. But I think this will survive that because it's every creature type.
Yeah, always survives it.
Yeah. So it's a very good card engine. Tribal decks in green will play this.
A bit like Corsair Crucifix. Obviously, that was about lands, but it reminds me a bit of that.
This has only got 3 toughness. Of course, it's 2/4.
Yeah, that's true.
But this will benefit off any Lord effect you have, I think.
Yeah, it being the Changeling, I think, is the best part about this card. That pushes it to be playable.
We have a common, you say. Snakeskin Veils, 1 green for an instant, plus a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. It gains hexproof until the end of turn.
So Blossoming Defense saw loads of play. And that, I think, gave +2/+2.
To the end of turn.
But also hexproof. So the reason I wanted to include this was because this is so similar to that.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything... I don't think there's any other cards that do this sort of effect yet in Standard, is there? For 1 green at instant speed.
No, there used to be Dive Down, 1 blue at instant speed. So, there's
a kicker one now that I think you have to pay an extra 1 to do it in blue. Otherwise it gets +1/+3, which just isn't good enough. So, that's why I wanted to include this, because it's so similar to Blossoming Defense.
Definitely. Blossoming Defense will play, and I think this will definitely see play, even if it's just a sideboard thing. If they've got a lot of spot removal, this is really good. If they've got Planeswalkers that deal with your guys, this is really good. And in a format where Blossoming Defense exists as well, so if you're going back to Historic, is this better? Well, in some decks it will be. Is +1/+1 permanently better than +2/+2 to the end of turn? Yeah. In some decks it will be, in some decks it won't. So if you don't care about the energy, because Blossoming Defense gave energy as well, didn't it? So I imagine there's not really...
I remember.
Did he give energy?
I don't think so. I think it was
Okay.
just +2/+2 hexproof.
So I think this will see play in Historic as well, potentially, even if it's just a sideboard card for decks with a lot of spot removal.
I didn't know if Blossoming Defense actually was included. Was it included in the Kaladesh remastered?
I don't know. My Historic decks.
Yeah.
No, I've got 2 Historic decks and neither of them have a rare in it.
So yeah, I think we'll see play definitely.
Yeah,
sideboards at least.
Good spot. Oh, I love this card. Tusky, Bearer of Secrets. It's 3 and a green for a legendary creature that's a squirrel. It's a 1/1. A 1/1 for 4 mana, but this spell can't be countered. It's indestructible, and Tusky, Bearer of Secrets attacks each combat if able. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card.
So, I'm not a fan of this particularly in Constructed. It's really cool in Limited. I don't know how you deal with this in Limited. Because once it's down, it's just not getting removed, really, unless you've got the Exile spell.
Yeah, you just block it with an Ought to.
Yeah. But this fact that it's always going to be there, right?
Yeah.
And then any other creature that does manage to hit is just getting you more and more value.
Yeah, it's hard to race against this.
Yeah.
I don't think it will see standard play, but it's people have been asking for a legendary squirrel for Commander for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
They got Earl of Squirrel from Unstable.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I think if your play group really wants you to let you play squirrels, they would let you play Earl of Squirrel, but this is an actual legal squirrel commander.
It's so weird as well because it doesn't really look much like a squirrel.
No, it's a very. It looks more like a lizard. Like a lizard or something, doesn't it?
It's a cool card. It reminds me a bit of like the goblin that fighted something that was indestructible.
Brash Taunter.
Yeah, there's also like this big CMC, but it was a 1/1 or 1/1.
Yeah, it was 5 mana 1/1. It was Brash Taunter, and it was
indestructible.
It
had a pretty cool effect, and that doesn't see any competitive play. It's just a really cool card, and this I think is in that same vein as that.
Yeah, you can't block with it.
Yeah.
That attacks each combat if able is actually a negative. I think playing this as a blocker, Brash Taunter was a much better card because you could block with it, and if they attacked and you blocked with it, they took damage. And then at the end of their turn, you could fight something, and they took damage off it. So it's a much better card in Limited than this is.
Yeah.
I think. So yeah, I don't think it will see play, but I like the flavour.
Yeah, for sure. It had to be done. I think players would have been moaning a lot if they didn't include a legendary squirrel in a Norse mythology set.
I don't know why squirrels are Norse, but there you go.
Well, there is the messenger of the world tree. There's in all Norse mythology, yeah.
Oh, so I guess that's Tusky himself then.
Yeah.
We have a new Planeswalker. Our first new type of Planeswalker. It's a legendary Planeswalker. It's a Tyvar type. It's 2 and 2 green. Comes in with 3 loyalty, and it has a static ability. Elves you control have tap, add a black mana. Has a +1, put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target elf. Untap it against Death Touch and same turn. 0 can make a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token. And a -6, you get an emblem with whenever you cast an elf spell, it gains haste until the end of the turn, and you draw 2 cards.
So if the elf deck's a thing, this is in it for sure. Like there's a few cards in this set that can actually care about finding Tyvar as well, I believe.
Yeah.
And that you don't normally see. So this essentially is an elf in the deck as well.
Yeah, it says look at the top 7 and reveal an elf or a Tyvar card or something, doesn't it? I think we might come to it in a bit. Oh, it might just be a common. So this is good. And I think if you look at the 0 and you look at the elf we saw earlier, whenever an elf comes into play, make another 1/1 elf. So that doesn't exclude tokens, which is why it happens only once a turn. So if you play that other guy and then 0 Tyvar, you then get 2 1/1 elves. So, and they all tap for mana.
Mm-hmm. So, historic elves. When you've got access to Llanowar elves, this is really good. The elf deck will be really sweet in historic with this.
Yeah, this is very powerful. It ultimates in 3 turns.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether you're going to want to ultimate. I think maybe sometimes you're just going to want to spam the board with elves.
Yeah, potentially. I don't know if it goes into like modern elves or legacy elves just because it's 4 mana. And the deck probably wants to win on turn 4, but...
Yeah, but like you can get a turn 5 Ugin easily with this, can't you? because you've got a couple of elves out. On turn 5, you play your land, you tap your 2 elves for mana, you untap them with the +1, you tap them again, there's 8 mana, and then you've got an Ugin.
Yeah. Cool card. If the elf deck's a thing, this will be in it for sure.
But it doesn't go in a non-elf deck because the +1 has to have an elf.
Yeah. Everything about this cares about elves.
Matt says, throw the poison death touch guy with him too. Was he an elf?
No, he wasn't.
Yeah.
He was a human warrior. But if it gives you, if you are playing elves, I guess they gain death touch.
Yeah,
but
true. But I think you then need both cards to be out to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you need both cards. You need the death touch trigger, and then you need this guy to give elves death touch. But it only gives 1 elf death touch as well, so I'm not sure.
So, but also for commander players, it's green-black for color constrictions.
So I actually think that makes it worse for commander because there's a lot of mono green elf decks that would love this because it makes all your elves tap for mana.
Sure.
But so it needs to be in a green-black elf deck. Right, next. We mentioned him earlier. Vorinclex, Monstrous Raider. It's 4 and 2 green for a legendary creature. It's a Phyrexian Praetor. It's a 6/6 with trample and haste. It's the first ever Phyrexian subtype, I think.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
If you would put 1 or more counters on a permanent or player, put twice that many of each of those counters or kind of counters on that permanent or player instead. I'm glad I did this in English, not Phyrexian. If an opponent would put 1 or more counters on a permanent or player, they put half that many of each of those kinds of counters on that permanent or player instead, rounded down.
So this is like doubling season, basically, on a creature. You get a doubling season, and your opponent gets an anti-doubling season, but not the token part of it, I guess.
Yeah.
It's
more, is it? What's the other one? There's Parallel Lives, and what's the one that counters? Is it doubles counters? Is there one?
I think there was one that was printed recently. Yeah. I can't remember what it was called though. I think it was in Commander Legends actually. Yeah,
this is the one that goes to the poison guy. I think if anything, if you're going to put a creature without death touch in that deck, it's Vorinclex.
At least it does something when it enters as well because it has haste and trample. Gets through Lovestruck Beast, but it is 6 mana, so that shouldn't be an issue. Also, the big thing that I like that I might try and make some janky deck with it is with sagas. So your sagas enter and then you get the 2 things. So you doubles your saga counters. So
you get both of them, don't you?
Yeah, you'll trigger 2 things at the same time. And also, if your opponents play a saga, they get nothing. No law counters will go on it, so nothing happens. And they're basically hard.
So this blanks ECD.
Yes. Yeah.
Ah.
And if you want to play Planeswalkers, your Planeswalkers run into double counters, which is extremely powerful.
Yeah. I mean, I always think that if you're untapping with something like this in play, it doesn't really matter what you do. Yeah. You're either going to be playing a Planeswalker or something that gives you lots of counters. So this is a really powerful card. It's going to be bonkers as a commander. It's going to be bonkers as a card you play. It is 6 mana, but it's in the colour that can cast 6 mana cards on turn 4. Yes,
this is if you ramp it into this, doesn't seem bad at all. I suppose with the elf puts +1 counters, or the Planeswalker we just saw puts +1 counters on your elves, and then you ramp into this thing. That seems okay.
I think you need other +1% counter synergies. I think you can't just play this because one Planeswalker in your deck adds counters.
Yeah. But it does something.
That's a question. That's a question. I think this is true. It will half their Planeswalker loyalty, won't it?
Yeah, it will do. Yeah. Any type of counters.
Yeah. Didn't think of that, Matt. Good spot. Matt's watching in chat.
Yeah.
Oh wow! So they can play their. Oh my god! They can play their Ugin and they can't kill it.
Yeah. They can't mind.
Because their Ugin will come with 3 counters on.
Is it rounded down?
Yeah.
It's a really good card.
Yeah.
I just like the fact that it isn't a setup piece. It can swing the turn it enters.
So it will ruin the fact that the Planeswalker... So if a Planeswalker tries to +1, they will still get the ability, they just won't get the counter.
Yeah.
I believe you pay the cost and you just don't get the counter. So you're paying the cost, and the cost in this case is gain a counter. Yeah, wow.
I think what other sort of effects there currently are in standard. So besides shutting off sagas and shutting down some Planeswalkers.
Oh my god.
What else can you do?
Oh, this works well with Blast Zone, although that's a bit. Blast Zone, you can then kill tokens.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
But your
What
opponent
else
will
is
be
there?
able to.
Sorry? Oh, yes,
Your
your
opponent-
opponent. Yeah.
You won't be able to, but yeah. But
Uh,
yeah, I mean, a +1 counter deck. This is so good.
yeah, I think in a Death Touch deck, if you're playing that new Blossoming Defense and you're playing anything to do with counters, I think maybe if there is a green-based snow deck, you might see that Snow Sorcery, which is put 4 counters on, draw some cards. Because with this, it's put 8 counters on, draw some cards. And you can even put all the counters on the same thing. In fact, if you target Vorinclex with this, you become a 14/14, don't you?
It's really cool. I really want to open it in pre-release.
Yeah. There is a Phyrexian art one. Do you know, someone was asking me, how do you get the Phyrexian art one? Is it only in the set, or is it a promo, or what?
Oh, I've got no idea off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up.
Only in collector's boosters, maybe.
Yeah, it's probably one of them sort of things that's only in collector boosters. Because there's also it gets the showcase version as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, but
yeah, the Phyrexian one, I'm not sure.
I don't know. In Core 21, there were 3 types of Planeswalkers, wasn't there? There was like a full art one, a showcase version, and a regular one. But you could open them in the normal set. So I'm not sure here. But like there's the Elish one, the Elish one from the original Elish is like $150 for the Phyrexian version because it was hard to get. So if you can get a Phyrexian version of this, hold on to it. I think it will be a collector's piece.
I don't know if they're always going to be in foil, but yeah.
Yeah, I imagine. I hope you can get them in a normal set, but we will see.
Yeah.
All right, and that is green. That is our green set. Have you got a favorite? Have you got a favorite green card, Aaron?
Yeah, this one collects by far.
Yeah, I think that'll be my pick. I'll see if I can pick something else.
I like the Planeswalker as well for the elf deck, but Vorinclex I think will probably be the card in this.
Yeah,
maybe the tribal changeling, but yeah.
Yeah, it's really good, and it incidentally stops a lot of things your opponents are trying to do. It will hurt their Planeswalkers, their Sagas, their anything they've got with counters on. It will effectively nullify the +1/+1 counter deck. In the mirror, imagine you're playing +1/+1 counters and so are they. Whoever gets down Vorinclex just absolutely wipes the floor with their opponent. It's just such a big swing, isn't it? Yeah. All right, we've got a couple more things to do. We're going to do multicolored now, and then we're going to have a look at, in the same multicolor, we're going to look at artifacts. There's only 3 rare artifacts, including one very powerful one. And then we're going to look at the very end, we're going to look at lands. So in the multicolored ones, there's a lot of sagas. So we're looking at, our first one is an uncommon saga. We're not looking at every saga, just the rares and the odd uncommon. So we're going to start with Ascent of the Worthy for 1, a white and a black. It's a saga, and the first 2 lore counters are choose a creature you control until your next turn all damage that will be dealt to creatures you control is dealt to that creature instead. And part 3 is return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield with a flying counter on it. That creature is an angel warrior in addition to its other types.
So, you want to put this on, like, if this can get put on in an indestructible creature, that's insane, right?
There's a Seasoned Battlemaster, or Seasoned Blade Master, which is a 3/1. You can discard a card to make it indestructible.
Yeah, that's currently in standard, yeah.
So
and in historic, you've got the pay 4 life one as well.
And, yeah, but with the Seasoned Blade Master, you can discard the creature you want to reanimate.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's some good synergy, actually.
That's the synergy. So I think it potentially goes in like a white-black aggro deck, or potentially white-black angels, because you're going to make an angel. You've got things like Seasoned, whatever, the dog, the 1/1 dog.
It makes like
selfless survivor or something. I can't remember the name of it. So there might be some synergies, but I put it in here mainly because we've seen some mythic and rare reanimation effects at 5 and 6 mana, at 7 mana even. This is a 3 mana reanimate. Elspeth Conquers Death is really good because you reanimate a creature or a planeswalker. It's a bit better. But this particular one is 3 mana to reanimate. It's a very slow one. But in a creature-based deck, if you're looking for a reanimation target, you might be able to, if you can get like Stitch of Supply to bin something, even if after the first loyalty counter you haven't really got a use for the second one, you still get to reanimate something for effectively 3 mana. So I thought I'd mention it because if you are trying to reanimate, it's one of the cheapest ways of doing it.
Yeah, I agree. Do you want to do this on turn 3? Because like you've got to play it in a creature heavy deck because you want to have a target for the turn it comes in, and then it will go off again next turn before you have another time to cast anything. So you need to have a 2-drop ready for this if you want to play on turn 3. And if they just stop your 2-drop, then this card ain't doing much.
Yeah, it could go in clerics. I think clerics, don't mind clerics dying, and then there's some reanimation there. There might be some big, like, dumb demon clerics that you can bring back for quite a lot of mana.
I agree. I think this is a clerics card rather than an angels card, just because you want the 1-drops and 2-drops for the effect, the first effect, to take place on.
Yeah, possibly.
They've also got the sacrifice synergy going as well. So once it gets to your 3rd turn, and before that trigger goes off, you sacrifice your the 1/1, and then if you bring it back from the bin, you exile it, make a 5/5 demon instead. Something like that.
You could direct all damage to a creature, and then you could sacrifice the 1/1 to protect your creature.
Yeah.
So it's indestructible. So I think it can protect veto. It can protect your 2/4 angel that gains you life. I think this has got fringes of playability, and it might be not good enough because you'd rather just play 30 creatures or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought I'd mention it anyway.
I wish it made an angel cleric in addition to its other types rather than warrior.
I think that would definitely force it in the cleric deck.
Yeah.
But it gives it flying as well, so potentially you could give something that doesn't have flying, and you get a bit of evasion. So I think it's decent.
Yeah, cheap reanimation spell should always be looked at though. So yeah, I agree with
it's
you.
effectively 5 mana because even if you cast it on turn 3, it won't be turn 5 till you get it back.
But you're not paying mana on turn 5.
You're not. No, it's not. So it's a mix, I think.
Mm-hmm.
This is a first rare saga. It's Battle for Retagard. First law count is 1 a green and a white. There is effectively a rare saga for each colour pair and an uncommon saga for each colour pair. So we're going to be looking at a lot of them. Create a 1/1 white human warrior creature token. And then the second law count is create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token. And the third law count is choose any number of artifact tokens and or creature tokens you control with different names, and for each of them create a token that's a copy of it.
Okay, so this card wants you to make lots of different type of tokens rather than just one sort of token. So I don't know if it goes in elves. I don't think you splash white in an elf deck for then to play this. I don't think that's the deck it goes in. But yeah, in some sort of go wide strategy, it seems it's pretty good in that. Definitely, like if you play this turn 3 and then you're getting a free elf, and you cast something for 4 mana, like the cat chariot, maybe.
I was going to say that.
Then when it gets around to your turn 5, you get at worst, or if nothing's died, a warrior, elf warrior, and a cat, which is just great value.
You get a human warrior and an elf warrior and a cat.
Yeah.
So I think if that cat card goes in anything, it goes in the deck that this also goes into. I don't think it's got current home. I think it will be a new home. I think maybe it might need to have a few more sets to get enough of the token generators out there. I don't think there's many like white 2-drops that make a token when they enter. There'll be the odd elf that does it. But if the elf makes an elf warrior creature token, and this does as well, you don't get that benefit. You need to be making different types of tokens. So
it's in the wrong colours to care about treasure, really, because it can make artifact tokens as well.
Yeah.
And treasure's probably the only artifact token I can think of that actually matters. But it's in the wrong colours for it in standard. You want to be in red.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. So potentially look out for it if you've got a token thing going on. You've got like angel tokens in white as well. You've got.
I suppose you've got the card that says the one foretell that lets you make a Serra Angel on turn 4.
Yeah.
I do this turn 3, do that turn 4, and then you get another angel on turn 5.
Yeah, so potentially it curves well. Actually, weirdly, it curves out quite well. But we will see whether it's playable. Tokens might not just might not be good enough. But tokens do well against Doom Foretold. So if Doom Foretold becomes a better deck, tokens don't do pretty well against them, don't they? Right. Battle of Frost and Fire. This is a 5 mana Is It saga for 3 a blue and a red. And the first law counter is Battle of Frost and Fire deals 4 damage to each non-giant creature and each planeswalker. Part 2, scry 3, and part 3, when you cast a spell to convert a mana cost 5 or greater this turn, draw 2 cards, then discard a card.
So this, if it does see play, it goes into the giant deck, as that's the colours giants are in. Otherwise, you just play Storm's Wrath, which is 1 mana cheaper and is only mono red, because it effectively does the same thing. So is the scry free and the potential card draw worth it? Because I think that's the way you've got to evaluate this card. Otherwise, you just play Storm's Wrath. I don't know if it is, but
Yeah, if there is a giant deck, this goes in ahead of Storm's Wrath.
yeah.
One-sided Wrath's pretty good. You might be right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. If you're in like a Spellslinger deck, maybe this is a bit better because it loots and draws. You can draw 2 cards and discard a land that you've been holding on to. The fact is, you're scrying into the 5 mana spell that you can try and cast. That's what you're trying to do.
I suppose like the Team Rec deck, not Team Rec, Ultimatum, would consider playing it. It already plays Storm's Wrath, and because you've got like Bone Crusher Giants, you've got the what's the other one? The one that's always is Beanstalk Giant, which will always survive 4 damage anyway, because it's normally always at least a 6/6 or a 7/7.
I think the issue with this is potentially your opponents love Bone Crusher Giants. Don't go there. This will not be a hard Wrath, because it will not be as hard a Wrath as Storm's Wrath is.
Yeah, the fact that this doesn't kill your opponent's Bone Crusher Giants is probably why it won't see play.
I didn't think of that, but yeah, I think you're right. If this starts to see a lot of play, people will go back to playing Yorvo, and some are just incidental giants that are good enough.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll see play outside the giant deck. It will see play in the giant deck.
It's close though. It's nearly there, I think. It's 1 mana cheaper.
We have a first artifact. It's Cosmos Elixir, and it's a 4 mana artifact, and I haven't actually seen this one before, I don't think. At the beginning of your end step, draw a card if your life total is greater than your starting life total, otherwise you gain 2 life.
So I thought this card would be like mono white, but I guess it's card draw for mono white.
Yeah.
Right.
In Commander. I don't think this is I think this is too expensive for standard play.
Yes, you want to be winning by this point on turn 4 with any sort of white life gain aggro deck.
I think so. You've got that Angel that pumps the team. You want to be playing creatures and Heliod.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Maybe it's a one-off.
Says, I mean, otherwise you get to... So, at worst, so you're either gaining 2 life or you're drawing a card, basically, at the end of your turn.
So I think maybe it's a one-off in a deck where a lot more of your creatures are caring about when you gain life, do this. So like Heliod is when you gain life, pump a creature.
Yeah.
Whereas some of the other ones, like Bishop of Wings, or whichever, Bishop of Wings, Speaker of the Heavens, or whichever one it is that makes the Angel, needs you to have a certain life total. It doesn't care about gaining life. It needs you to be on a certain life total. And the Angel that pumps the team. So I think if more of your creatures cared about when you gain life, this happens. This would be a better card.
Maybe it is as well in like it might be a bit more of a mirror breaker, just so you can get more card advantage than your opponent in the life gain decks.
Yeah. So maybe as a 1-of, or maybe as a 2-of, or maybe in the sideboard or something, maybe. But I think it's too much mana for standard.
Agree.
Yeah.
But
Commander
would be cool, but in Commander you'd have to play it.
I mean, I think you can play it in a lot of colours, because in Commander, if you get down to like, if someone has a big attack and they just happen to attack you, and you're on 15 life and everyone else is still in the 30s, you're really struggling now. If you've got something like this and you instantly gain that life back, you can afford to participate in the game more. When you're the low life total, you have to kind of negotiate and stay back and not offend anyone.
Yeah.
So maybe, but definitely any white deck in Commander. This should probably be 3 in a white, I think. But
yeah, it should be a white card.
This should not be playable in mono red decks.
Yeah, I know,
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Oh, here you go, Aaron. One of yours. This is a Seeker or Essica, God of the Tree. It's 1 and 2 green for a legendary creature, which is a god. It's a 1/4 with Vigilance. And it taps to add 1 mana for any colour. And its other legendary creatures you control have Vigilance, and also tap to add 1 mana of any colour. However, it has something on the back. The Prismatic Bridge is a 1 of each colour for a legendary enchantment that says at the beginning of your upkeep, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature or planeswalker card. Put it on the battlefield and the rest at the bottom of your library in a random order.
So, I like this card. So it's a 3 mana 1/4. I don't know. Vigilance seems a bit pointless. I think. I suppose it can attack and then tap, but why are you ever going to attack with a 1/4? It's not going to do much. So yeah, it can tap for any color, which is nice fixing, and it gives all of your other legendaries vigilance and tap for any mana of any color as well. Which then obviously powers out this. So this is you've played 4 of it, right?
Yeah, this card, because again you can cast both halves. You can cast this, and then next time you get it, you can try and cast this. You're always casting this guy first, unless it's like turn 8 and you've got the mana to cast this.
So you probably play this with the other mono green god that cares about legendaries.
Yeah, they both have vigilance, and I think that's a reason. If you have both gods out, this becomes a 3/5. No, it doesn't. It becomes a 5/6.
I don't think
it's +4/+2. I think, isn't it?
Yeah, but I thought it only gave it to itself. I don't think it gives it to every other legendary creature.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm wrong there. I can go back and have a look, but yeah.
But yeah, then once you get the Prismatic Bridge out, like you're going to always be hitting something good because your your deck is all just legendaries, and there isn't really like a cheap bad legendary, if you know what I mean. So you'll always get a fairly good value creature rather than like a mana dork or something.
I think you play Gilded Goose in this deck, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I'd consider it. Yeah, just to be able to help cast the Prismatic Bridge if. But I feel like you're always going to play the god side first before you ever play a Prismatic Bridge in the deck, because you're probably playing it in mono green.
Yeah.
Mono green legends.
I wonder if just the Genesis Ultimatum deck is better.
Maybe.
Genesis Ultimatum looks at the top 7, does it, and puts all permanents into play. It
5,
just hits,
I think.
Yeah,
top 5.
It just does a bit more than this. This is a random 1 card per turn. Genesis Ultimatum is as many of 5 as you can put.
And
I think the color restriction isn't as bad. You need specific legendaries for this to be any color.
I suppose you can get Prismatic Bridge out turn 4.
I suppose. Can you?
So you play if you played this turn 3,
which you need 2 green mana for.
Yeah, and so what other legendaries can you do on turn 2? If you play Gilded Goose turn 1, and you'd need another legendary on turn 2. I suppose you could play the Death Touch guy.
Yeah, maybe.
Then I think it's possible, maybe.
Yeah, possibly. I think Dryad of Elysian Grave is where you want to go.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you definitely play that as well.
Which is like a Chromatic Lantern on a creature.
There's also a land in a bit later on that you'll definitely play, even if it does ETB tapped.
I think I love it. I think Commander, it would be brilliant. In Commander, this is in Commander, you're wanting to play this as soon as you can, and then just have all the big Eldrazi, all the big stupid.
Yeah, for sure.
But I wonder if the mana cost and the odds of you powering this out quicker are not as quick as Genesis Ultimatum. And Genesis Ultimatum might have a bigger impact, so I'm not sure in Standard this will beat that deck. This is sweet. This is sweet.
You could Genesis Ultimatum into this, because surely with Genesis maybe you get to choose which side then which enters. So, well, you do with Pathways at least.
Yeah, I think so. I think you'd be right.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, definitely build around Commander. People love this in Commander, and it's a Wooburg Commander as well. So
that helps.
Yeah. We have an uncommon. It's Firja. I think I'm going to go say Firja. Judge of Valor for 2, a white and double black, 5 mana. It's a 2/4 with flying and lifelink. And whenever you cast your second spell each turn, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, and the rest into your graveyard.
Not a fan.
Not a fan.
At all. I mean, 5 mana is a lot for a 2/4 with flying. Yeah, sure, it has flying and lifelink and it has relevant creature types, but it's legendary, so it's bad in doubles.
Okay. As a topper to the Angel deck, you wouldn't think as a curve top if you need like.
Not really, no.
No, okay.
Because how often are you gonna cast 2 spells in one turn in the Angel deck? So
once you do it once, though, you get the cards to do it again.
Just tapping out for 5 mana and playing this does not feel good for me. There's just so many other things you could be doing.
It reminds me of that Commander I built from Commander Legends, the 1/6 where you cast a spell on the opponent's turn, you get to effectively look at 2 and keep 1. So I wonder if it's a build around in Commander where you're looking to do it, but maybe it's not that good. I just thought it was similarities to that, but okay, maybe you're right. You've probably convinced me it's not good enough.
I don't know. Maybe in the cleric deck, but playing a 5-mana card in the cleric deck.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
I'm not a fan personally.
I will admit, I thought I'd chuck it in there.
Yeah, that's fair.
We also have the card we just saw, Retribution. This is a rare saga for 1 double white and a black, and it's Furia's Retribution. The first one is create a 4/4 white angel warrior creature token with flying vigilance. Until at the end of turn, angels you control gain destroy target creature with power less than this creature's power, and angels you control gain double strike until the end of the turn.
This is a solid card. I like this. Maybe if they're like, I suppose it's an angel tribal deck this goes in rather than like an angel token deck or like a Abzan token deck. But you're getting a Serra Angel on turn 4
for 4 mana. For
and
4 mana, yeah.
Everything else now is just upside. So also you can attack with all your angels, or attack with this angel at least because it has vigilance, and then you can tap and destroy something in combat.
Before blocks.
Yeah.
So they can't double block you. They can't, or whatever. Yeah. So this is a bit of a house. I think if you do get these angels and you've got the 2/4s and the 1/3 angel that's cheap and gets bigger when you play other angels and all that sort of stuff, and then that last one, even if you don't have many targets for the second one, that last one, if they haven't wrathed your board, that you've won. You've basically won. You'll have gained life because you'll have incidental life gain, and you'll be so far ahead if you get to attack with 2 or 3 angels on the 3rd law counter there.
It's at the right CMC as well because the 3-drop angel slot is quite chocker.
Yeah, I think so.
And they don't have a lot of good 4-drops, and this is probably the one you play.
Yeah. So you've got there's a mythic angel berserker in black. I think is the other one you play. But you go the 1/3 angel from the set booster that gets bigger when you play another angel, I think, and then you play the 2/4 angel that gains life equal to toughness, and then you play this, gain 4 life, and then on turn 4 your first angel is a 3/5 because 2 angels have entered the battlefield since. Yeah. So on turn 5 you play your berserker angel. You pump the first one again. It's now a 4/6. You've got a 4/6, a 2/4, and a 4/4. You're on 27 life, so they all get pumped +2/+2. I mean, if they can't deal with your creatures, this is just perfect. So I think this is definitely going to see play.
In Historic, it's even better when you can curve, turn this on turn 4, and then put Lyra down turn 5.
Yeah. I think that there is a perfect curve for an angel deck here.
Yeah, they've hit the mark on the right CMC and the power level for this to be playable. This
is very powerful. Realistically, it's probably not playable in a non-angel deck because if you play this and they kill your Serra Angel, it does nothing.
Yeah.
So it's an angel deck only, but it's good.
Mm-hmm.
And there will be an angel deck. That 3 mana 2/4 is too powerful not to see play. So
there's too many rares for it not to be an angel deck.
I think so. Yeah. Next one is another rare saga. There's a lot of these. Harold Unites the Elves for 2, a black and a green. And the first one is mill 3 cards. You may put an elf or a Tyvar card from the graveyard onto the battlefield. Whew. Part 2, put a +1/+1 count on each elf you control. And part 3, whenever an elf you control attacks this turn, target creatures and opponent controls get -1/-1 until the end of turn.
So this does a lot. A 4 mana where you've got a reanimation, and you don't even have to have anything in your bin for it to work because you might just mill your Tyvar instead if you didn't have it in hand.
Or your changeling, that you play, yeah.
So just that 4 mana and just do that first ability alone, I think is very good. And then it just benefits. It just gets better and better and better. Then you pump all your guys. And then whenever an elf you control attacks this turn, so it's not all creatures, but target creature and opponent control. So you'll just make all their blockers way worse. It's really good.
I think it gets better the longer the game goes on. Sort of. I think it reminds me a bit in terms of power level of Fine Finality. The fact you've got the 2 options here, and this you've got 3 options. You always pick all 3. But Fine Finality, you either wrathed or you brought some stuff back, and it was just so versatile. This is just so versatile, but it only does the same thing every time. In the elf deck, if it exists, this will see play. The fact that you can reanimate your Planeswalker, and Matt has just said, in the tier 1 deck that's going to be that legendary squirrel deck, this will kill it.
Yeah, I guess.
I think Matt's looking for different things to everyone else in these reviews.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many you play in your deck. You need to find the right balance because obviously you need enough elves
I feel
and
like
5R.
I feel like two's probably right, and then if that's not enough, you play a third.
But in that deck, I don't know if you play any other non-elf cards or Tyvar cards. Like, do you even bother playing removal? You probably don't. You just want to maximize the amount of elves you have on the battlefield all the time, right?
Yeah, maybe. I think this gives you a reason to play Vorinclex at the top of the elf deck.
Mm-hmm.
If the elves care about counters, this pumps the team with Vorinclex out. If you cast this on turn 5, if you wait a turn.
Yeah, the big problem I do find though with these sort of cards is you don't get chance to cast another spell before that.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's true. I suppose they're going to see it coming. They're either going to remove this or remove Vorinclex or Scoop. Yeah, maybe that's not true, but
that's the same with every saga, right? That's just how sagas play out.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see play in the elf deck, and a bit like the last one, won't see play in another deck.
I think all of the sagas actually are like this.
They will see you play in so like the giant one will only see play in the giant deck. Yeah,
the two-color sagas. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's quite nice actually. So that one will only see play in the giant deck. That one will only see play in the token deck. Yeah, the rare ones anyway. Immerstrum Predator is a 2, a black, and a red, a Rakdos 3/3 flyer. When Immerstrum Predator becomes tapped, exile up to one target card from a graveyard and put a +1/+1 counter on Immerstrum Predator. Sacrifice another creature, and Immerstrum Predator gains indestructible at the end of turn and tap it.
So this card is very similar to Korvold, but obviously Korvold is green as well. Korvold doesn't protect itself, but does draw cards when it enters as well. So you just sacrifice a land or sacrifice the goat token from your Woe Strider. This does get indestructible, so it's got that upside going for it. So it will stop like Heartless Act or targeted removal. I don't know if it's good enough not to play Korvold though.
I didn't like this card the first time I saw it. It's a 3/3 without haste, whatever, and you can't attack and you can't tap it, but it's instant graveyard height.
Yeah, that's true.
So you can nab their Croxer at instant speed if you sack your goat token, because you can sack it to tap it and make it indestructible. So weirdly, I actually think it is playable. I think it is playable in Rakdos deck. I think it gives you the evasion you sometimes need to get in those last few points of damage. It gives you that graveyard hate. It does get bigger. It doesn't need to sacrifice to get bigger every time.
The only downside, the part of the card I don't like though is I have to sacrifice another creature rather than a permanent. If you've got an empty board, it's just a free flyer that's entered for 4 mana.
Yeah, but when you attack, it's a 4/4.
Yeah, if they don't remove it, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, and so you might not play an empty board, but you've got Claim the Firstborn. It definitely goes in that deck. There is a deck that's playing Claim the Firstborn and nabbing their stuff. You're playing it in that doesn't play Lurrus. I'm not sure if those decks still play Lurrus as their companion.
It feels like it goes in like the Rakdos aggressive version of the sacrifice deck. Maybe with in Historic, so you've got the demon that pings when you sacrifice something. What was that called?
Mayhem Devil.
Yes, that one.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'll play this in my Rakdos deck. I think I've got 2 Everquill Phoenixes, and I might take them out for this.
Okay.
I play Everquill Phoenix because you can put it on the Akum Hellhound, and with Fable Passage you can attack for 8.
That's good.
Like out of the blue, you've got your note 1 or whatever it is, and then you Everquill Phoenix, play a Fable Passage, crack it, hit them for 8 in the air, and they're like, where'd that come from? But maybe this is better. Maybe it's just not as explosive. But I can then sack my Akum Hellhound on my Fandom 2/2, my Robber the Rich or whatever, to protect it, and then I can get in the last few points of damage of this. So I think this will see play. I think the incidental graveyard hate is good to be able to get things like Croxer, and I understand that the familiar Cauldron Familiar is not in play anymore. But anything like that comes along. So I don't think it's an auto include in every deck that can play it, but I think there are enough decks that any sort of nab your creature deck, I will play this card.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, the only thing that bothers me is just it doesn't have that immediate value when it ETBs, unless you've got another more creature.
Yeah, I mean, you could have goats. You could have goats. You could go down a more token route. If you've got like Woe Strider and things that benefit off sacrificing, you can go down a slightly more token route if you really want to make this card playable. I'm not sure. Even sacking Woe Strider, because you can bring that back just to...
Skyclave Apparition does hit it as well compared to Corvold.
I
really don't like Skyclave Apparition. It's so
annoying. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, I didn't think of that.
It is a good card, definitely. And yeah, if you don't want to go into green and you want to make your mana base better, then yeah, it's Rakdos Aristocrats for sure.
We have a god. It's a green god. It's a second green god, but the backside is multicolored, so this goes in the multicolored section. It's a legendary snow god for 2 and a green. It's a 3/3, and it just has one ability, which we've seen rotate out recently after being banned. It's whenever John attacks, untap each snow permanent you control.
So essentially, it has vigilance.
Yeah.
Because it counts itself.
And then it has a backside. It's a legendary snow artifact. It's Cauldron the Rime Staff for 1 black and a blue. So you may play target snow permanent from your graveyard this turn. If you do, it enters the battlefield tapped.
Okay, so it's in all the right colours for snow. If like the snow deck is a thing, like you want to make a Sultai snow deck, this is the card for it. I'm not sure if there's enough good snow permanents for all them colours for it to be worth playing. But I mean, do you play it in like mono green? And even if you just untaps all your lands, is that good enough? Probably dies.
Wilderness Reclamation was broken.
Yep.
And that had this effect, but worse. It definitely had this effect, but worse. So apologies, this has got a worse effect than Wilderness Reclamation. It does untap your snow permanents. So if you have things like snow artifacts and snow creatures that do things that when you tap them, that's where potentially you're looking for. So potentially this works well with that together. So you play a land from your graveyard with this. You attack with John, and then you can play something else. So let's say you cast a spell. You cast a spell, and then you play a land from your graveyard tapped. And then you attack with John. The land you play tapped becomes untapped. This becomes untapped. And then main phase 2, you can do something else with all your mana. And then you can also put something else into play from your bin.
I suppose as well, like if John does die in combat, and you can somehow get that rune stuff out as well. Like if you've got,
you bring him back.
Yeah, you can bring him back with the staff. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and
I feel like he's going to die in combat a lot.
So if you've got both out, just think how well they work together, like Aaron said.
Oh, yeah.
If you've got them both out, you cast something. Correct, Matt. So Matt says you still need to pay for the thing from the graveyard. Let's say you cast something. Then you attack with John, untap everything, and tap your mana again. John dies. You then cast John with this again after have played something else from your first turn. And then next turn you've got John to attack again, and the same thing happens again. So effectively you double your mana every turn as long as you've got snow mana. You also then get to play a land from your graveyard if you haven't got one in hand, and then you get to cast 2 spells.
They really need to remove that artifact in this deck. The artifact is the troublesome card. It just plays very well with
it just gets John back. And I think maybe even you play the artifact first. And I think you try and mill yourself. You think if you any of the sagas mill 3 or mill 4 at the start or something, Stitch of Supply and that sort of effect you want to be playing in this deck. So yeah, I think in standard, potentially if there's a snow deck, this might be the linchpin.
Yeah, definitely.
There's another card that's coming up that cares about snow, and I think it will be slow because I think you'll be incentivized to play the snow duels. You're playing 3 colors and you want to be playing snow permanent, so we're going to talk about them in a bit. But I think you'll be playing a lot of tap lands in this deck.
Yeah. And that will be the sort of thing that slows it down enough.
Yeah. So we will see. Next saga is an uncommon one. It's Karda's Vicious Return. The first law counter one is you may sacrifice a creature. When you do, Karda's Vicious Return deals 3 damage to any target. Part 2 is each player discards a card. And part 3 is return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put a +1/+1 count on it, and it gains haste till your next turn.
So we've got another reanimation. Man, there's a lot of reanimation in this set.
I think that's why I included this, because of how bad the 6 mana one feels.
Yeah, I agree. So 4 mana, you may sacrifice a creature. So at least you don't have to as well if you don't want to. But you're going to want to get the full value off it, I guess.
Yeah, you can sacrifice the goat. you can sacrifice something you've nabbed.
Mm-hmm. And then I suppose that creature that you sacrificed, you can then bring it back later on. So it synergizes with itself all very well, because you can discard a card. That could be the creature you want to reanimate. So yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
It's removable.
But I think if you're looking for reanimation, I think you'll be playing any of the two sagas we've just mentioned. One's black-white, one's black-red. And as long as you're not mono-black, I think actually the sagas are better long-term than the 6 mana mythic.
Like, what each player discards card. So what would you want in your bin to then put +1/+1
Well, like
and gain haste?
Often on turn 5, I'm probably out of cards anyway in a Rakdos deck.
Yeah, that's true.
And this is card advantage. Effectively, you're not losing out. You're taking a card off them, and then you're bringing back your biggest thing. Maybe you bring back a Crocs and make them discard another one.
But you got to remember as well, you're drawing a card, and then that triggers. So you're probably, unless you can cast that card.
Yeah, that's true. That is
going in the bin.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, you can just discard whichever creature you bring back next turn or something. Yeah, I think so. I think maybe, discarding a Rankle, and then it comes back as a 4/4 with haste. I mean, it's got haste anyway, but then you can hit him again, and you're just picking the hand apart a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I don't know if it's good enough personally, but it's cool.
Yeah.
For sure.
Third Planeswalker, I believe. It's Kaya the Inexorable. It's 3, a white and a black for a Planeswalker that comes in with 5 loyalty. It's like the third or fourth Kaya we've seen. It's put a Ghost Form counter on up to one target non-token creature. It gains, when this creature dies, always put it into exile, return it to the owner's hand, and create a +1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. The -3 is exile target non-permanent. I think she's had that ability before. And the -7 is you get an emblem with, at the beginning of your upkeep, you may cast a legendary spell from your hand, from your graveyard, or from among cards you own in exile without paying its mana cost.
It's a powerful card. 5 mana, 5 loyalty. So it has the -3, so you have removal. The +1, unfortunately, doesn't do anything on an empty board or a board with tokens. So you're probably going to want to do -3 if you're playing this in a control deck, I guess. I'm not sure what to think to it. I suppose it seems similar to the Pharos white-black god that I think was the promotional card, or was the buy box promo, where you put a coin counter on something. You put a coin counter on it, and then if it dies, you get it back. And you can put it on your opponent's stuff. That's what the sort of +1 reminds me a bit of.
I think I'm a bit higher in it. When I first read this, I thought, meh. And then I thought, hang on turn 3, on the third turn, so basically an ultimate after 2 goes, you -7 it, and then cast it for free.
So it'll be in your graveyard. Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
So on turn 3, the third turn, you plus it twice, you -7 it, and then you cast it for free, and every time they deal with it, you just cast it again. They can exile it. Fine, I'll cast it from exile. They can Ixalan's Binding doesn't work, but they can cast out it. I'll cast it from under my cast out, from under your cast out. They can Elspeth's Conqueror's Death it. All right, I'll cast it again, and you can't get rid of it. And that's just. And then you can play some other legends. Maybe you play some of these legendary angels or some creatures. I think you have to play it in a deck with creatures, because otherwise you're not really doing much with it. But it's just, if you can plus it twice, the ultimate is very good. You could cast Ugins from your hand.
Oh, the ultimate's insane. But I don't think you should judge Planeswalkers.
Correct.
I mean,
sometimes you ultimate them, but you want them to stick around. In this case, you don't need them. So sometimes you think the ultimate's really good. So like Nissa Vital Force, the ultimate was really good. So when you play a land, you draw a card. And you could ultimate it after 1 turn, but what you really wanted to do is keep it alive. So you didn't want to ultimate it straight away. And this one, you can ultimate it straight away. You can ultimate after 2 turns. There's not many Planeswalkers you can ultimate that quickly.
Yeah, that's true.
And then once you do, you've always got Kaya. So in a deck where Kaya is good, where the +1 is good, this card is very good.
Well, I think it was is it Dominaria that has Khan's Temporal Sundering? Plays very well with that. So if you have Kaya out, you +1. I think she has to survive at least 2 turns, I think.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god! And then if you have a legendary out, you cast Temple Sundering infinitely many. It's win the game, isn't it? In fact, with any extra turn spell, there's an extra turn spell in the new set, isn't there, that exiles itself?
I guess.
But it's not. It's not legendary.
Yeah, it has to be a legendary spell. So yeah, that's why Temple Sundering works pretty well, and you can bounce something as well. Their stuff. So it's also like that. That combo is quite cool. I think that's in Historic because I think that's the Dominaria card.
Yeah. Dominaria was the full set was there. Yeah, so I think it's good. I think limited this is a bomb. I think you play this as long as you're not playing it on an empty board. It's just so good. It's a card advantage. Protect my creature. They kill the creature to attack Kaya. You bring the creature back next turn. You protect a different creature.
It doesn't care about tribes as well, like Tyvar does.
Yeah, I think this is really good. I think you need to play it in some sort of mid-range. It can't be in a control deck. I think you need creatures out.
Yeah, I agree. So you can get the +1 value.
Maybe you don't need many. I mean, maybe the only creature you've got is Dream Troll or something, and then but even then, you're probably not plussing on Dream Troll because it protects itself. But you get the idea.
I do like how it returns the creature to your hand, and instead of you just getting a blocker, like a 1/1 flyer.
You get the 1/1 flyer,
Draw it back to your hand or whatever creature you put it on.
And you get a free legendary spell.
Or it's put into exile as well, so it doesn't have to die. It can be
works well with Oath of Kaya.
Yeah, funnily enough, yeah.
Oath of Kaya. I wonder if it works well in Doom Foretold as well.
Yeah, it's. I'm not sure. So I'm trying to think of the other Planeswalkers. Which Planeswalker will sing more? I suppose we'll come up to them, but
yeah, it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite one, but we'll see what my favorite one is in a bit. It's a bit. I think it's on the power level of Ashiok from Theros. Ashiok was a very good card, but it doesn't see much play. Yeah. It's like a 2 of or something in Esper control or something, but that's about it. I think this will have a similar home in some sort of Esper or Orzhov mid-range deck.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's powerful.
Not good, yeah.
So King Nephews Betrayal is a rare. It's a black and a blue. This is a translation we've got. It's each player mills 4 cards. Then you may exile up to 1 creature or planeswalker card from each graveyard. Until the end of the turn, you may cast spells from among cards, exile the King Nephews Betrayal, and you may spend mana as though it's mana of any colour to cast those spells.
So this is just like FIFA Sanity, basically, on a saga. It's also got a little bit of graveyard hate from that first trigger, so that's cool if you want to get rid of like a Croxer in their bin or something, or Uro, I suppose, in Historic. But yeah, I like it.
I think this is the mill card you want in the snow deck, potentially.
Okay.
Like think about mill sagas, and then basically, you get to cast 2 things over the next 2 turns. The issue is they exile forever. If this card leaves the battlefield, you can't cast them, and you've only got 2 turns to cast them. So unlike Gonti or Thief of Sanity, because your Thief of Sanity could die and you could still cast the card. So unlike those, you can't cast them forever. But you get 2 turns to do it. So weirdly, this might not be as good on turn 3 unless you really need the mill. This might be like a turn 4 or 5 card, because what you can't do is exile their Ugin or their Feasting Troll King on turn 3 because you won't have the time to cast it. So potentially you want to be doing this on turn 4 or 5 so that whatever you exile you can then cast for free.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it's a card where you need where you're looking to fill your graveyard as well, so maybe in a snow deck. So it's a decent thing. I think Thief of Sanity and Gonti both saw play, so this might see play. It gets you the best 2 things out of 8 cards, probably.
I don't know if Rogues even bothers playing it, because like 4 cards is great for Rogues and stuff, but they've just got cards that sort of do that anyway.
Yeah, I don't think it's good because it doesn't do anything you turn your player.
Yeah, and Rogues as well. It's a very flash heavy deck.
Yeah, I agree.
Speed decks.
I feel like it's more in the Dimir control or snow deck. I think that's where it might see play. Right. The only 2-color mythic is Simic, because Simic doesn't need another mythic, does it? This is expensive. It's 7 mana. It's Coma the Cosmos Serpent. It's 3 double green, double blue, and it's a 6/6 that can't be countered, obviously. At the beginning of each upkeep, create a 3/3 blue serpent creature token named Coma's Coil, and then you may sacrifice another serpent. Choose 1. Tap target permanent. You can't activate abilities this turn, or Coma Cosmos Serpent gains indestructible until end of turn.
So you want to be having Heartless Act ready for the turn they tap out and play this. Otherwise, yeah, it's pretty good. I don't know. It's just the fact it dies to Heartless Act.
So, yeah, you can't sacrifice itself. So if they try to Heartless Act it, what you can't do is sacrifice it to stop them using a Planeswalker for a turn or something. You can't do that.
Yeah.
So, and it's 7 mana, and it doesn't have evasion. I think for Simic Mythics as they go, this is a good one. This is a fair, balanced one. I think if you get this in limited, you can play it. If they don't deal with it quickly, it's going to win the game. But it's a 7 mana Mythic, and it should do that. I think for Constructed, I don't think it's overbearing. It's not like a Hydro Crisis. It doesn't gain you card advantage. It isn't stupidly busted like Uro or Oko or anything like that. So I think as Simic Mythics go, this is one of the better ones they've printed in terms of being fair.
Fair, yeah, for sure. It might go in the Genesis Ultimatum deck, maybe.
The only other deck I can see it going in, yeah, maybe, because you can play it for free and then they have to deal with it. But the only other deck I can see it playing in is like the top end to some sort of deck with changelings in.
Oh yeah, then
because
you can straight away.
Because you can protect it. I think if you can't protect this Eternity Comes Down, it's not going to be a constructed all-star. And there are only going to be a few decks where you can protect this Eternity Comes Down. And I think at the moment there's no other playable serpents. Playable. I mean, there might be some other serpents. I don't know if the Ambush Viper's a serpent. It might just be a snake.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So I think it would go in a deck where changelings are prevalent, and maybe it's like a 2 of. But again, you kind of want to. Yeah, maybe I think this is a fine card. It's very powerful if you untap with it. Like
it can run away with the game if your opponent doesn't have any remove.
Heartless Act, Elspeth Conquers Death, Banishing Light. There's a lot of ways to do this because even if you have a serpent to make it indestructible, you can still exile it. So it's not hexproof. If it was hexproof, I'd be really annoyed, stuff like that. But like, it's not hexproof. I think this is fine.
I think Dream Trawler is just better.
I think so. I think you're right.
That sort of card that you want to play, big CMC and finish the game.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Dream Trawler is the card to go for.
So this might not even see play. It's 7 mana, and I think you're playing, like you say, the ultimatums might just be a better I win the game. Ugin's 8 mana. Why would you play this over just trying to ramp into Ugin? I mean, yeah. Although if this is out, Ugin can't kill it without dying.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. So. So that's Simic Mythics go, Wizards, that's go. But if you're going to print a Mythic in 2 colours, print some in other colours, please. Our next one is our second artifact. It's Maskwood Nexus. It's a 4-mana artifact. Creatures you control are every creature type. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own now on the battlefield. And it has a tap ability, 3 mana to tap it to create a 2/2 blue shapeshifter creature token with Changeling.
So this has to go in some like creature combo deck, I feel. But paying 4 mana on turn 4 and it does nothing when it enters is just not good enough.
Yeah, I don't think it's costed well, but it's the deck that the amount of times I speak to Camille or someone else and they go, I've got a combo for you. First you need 4 Arcane Adaptations, and already I start switching off.
Yeah.
This is that card for standard. If you need your creatures to match a certain type or something, this is the card you want. It's too slow, but in limited it's really good actually.
Yeah, in limited for sure. Yeah, because it just fixes everything, right? If you've got any tribal effects at all,
make a 2. Yeah, a mana sink, make a 2/2 every turn. Like it's absolutely fine. In Kaladesh, there were some of the artifacts like Whirler, Virtuoso, or whatever. I can't remember the one. It's like a Thopter maker. So spend 3 or 4 mana to make a Thopter every turn. They were really good in limited because the games went a bit long, and this is a mana sink. So in limited, this is good. It goes in any deck where you've got any sort of tribe payoff.
Yeah.
And Matt says it goes well with the black card from the start of the stream. The reanimation one. Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you can reanimate your whole graveyard now. Yeah.
But too slow for constructed, personally.
I think, unless you're doing it for that top ability, I think you're right. Like some sort of weird janky combo. This is the card I've mentioned, but not actually said the name of it before. This is another reason to fill your graveyard. It's Nafi Betrayer King. It's 3, a black and a blue, and it's a 4/3 zombie wizard. It's a snow creature, and it says other snow and zombie creatures you control gain +1/+1. And it has 3 snow mana. Return Nafi Betrayer King from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped.
Okay, so it's a cool commander as well. Just as like a snow and zombie commander. Just because you can get it back from your graveyard. So it's one of them ones where you don't want it to go into the command zone when it dies. But yeah, I guess if there's a snow deck, this can go in it for sure.
It's a snow lord, and so it's pumping all your other snow permanents. So if you're playing the one where it's look at the top card of your library and play if it's snow, the blue, like it's a blue uncommon, and put it in your hand if it's snow. And so all your creatures, you're aiming to be snow creatures. This is a snow creature. It pumps your team. It makes the guy who untaps snow permanents a 4/4, so he might survive combat a bit easier. I think if there is a Simic Snow deck, this will be in there. It is not a zombie tribal deck, because there's not really zombie deck in standard at the moment, but it's snow tribal. This is effectively, you're playing this currently for snow. So this is the card I see, and basically you don't want to be casting this for 5 mana. You want to be milling this and casting it for 3.
Oh, right, yeah, okay, yeah.
I think so. I think this is the other reason to play that mill Nafri's Betrayal, whatever it is, the saga.
Sort of effect, yeah.
So if there's a snow deck in the format you play this, I think you need some snow removal in Sultai. The snow removal we've seen, the sorcery we saw was a red one, and it wasn't.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So I think you're going to need to have some snow-based removal, maybe a creature that comes in like a Ravenous Chupacabra or something that's snow-based or something to make the snow deck competitive. Because I think as soon as you start playing non-snow-based removal, you lose the fact that you can draw those snow cards for free, and you get that snow synergy and stuff. So
that's the being 3 colors as well is the one thing that worries me about the deck. It would just be too slow because it's got so many lands that are going to enter tapped because you want to play through lands.
From what I've seen, blue seems to be the best snow color.
Yeah.
The blue uncommons that draw you cards and make your lands hexproof guys and stuff like that. I think they seem to be the better payoffs for being all snow and this card. So I think blue-black if you're doing 2 colors, or blue-green. But this might be the reason. This and the other card we saw, the Sultai card, are probably the reasons to play 3 colors. And we'll talk about that when we get to the snow jewels, I think.
Yeah.
I think this might be my favourite card in the set, not my most powerful card. This is another new Planeswalker. I believe this is the first transgender or non-binary Planeswalker in the set, I think. It's Nico Aris. Yeah. It's Nico Aris. It's X, a white and 2 blue for a Planeswalker that comes with 3 loyalty, and it has not a static ability, and it enters the battlefield effect, which might be the first time we've seen this on a Planeswalker. So when Nico Aris enters the battlefield, create X shard tokens. I will point out they're enchantments, not artifacts. It feels like they should be artifacts. They feel a bit like clues, and you can sacrifice them to scry 1 the draw card. Has 3 abilities, a +1, up to 1 target creature you control can't be blocked this turn, and whenever the creature deals damage this turn, return it to its owner's hand. It's got a -1. Nico Aris deals 2 damage to target tapped creature for each card you've drawn this turn, and it's also got another -1. Create a shard token.
So this is an interesting card. Like, you get to make these enchantments, so you can play this in a sort of a constellation deck. It works pretty well with that. Then you've got this. It deals 2 damage to each tap creature, to target tap creature for each card you've drawn this turn. So then maybe you want to play it in a control deck, because then it's like a removal spell. If you can like draw like 3 cards in a turn with a, I don't know.
You can sacrifice some shards. So let's say you cast it on turn 8 or something, and you make 2 or 3 shards.
But then the +1, it works better in like a creature deck, or like a blink deck. So you want to get the value from it coming back to your hand. So there's a few decks this can go in, but I think it's going to be hard to find the deck where all the modes seem relevant in the deck, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think the second mode against another control deck, it's still really good because you're using the -1 for card draw. You're not going to be attacking their creatures. Against an aggro deck, you're probably not going to be drawing cards. You're going to be pinging their creatures down. And this is good at any point in the curve.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a game-breaking ultimate, so it's not oppressive. It doesn't have a I'm going to phase that out. I'm going to kill this. They can see that you can only attack target creatures, and if you full X this, you probably won't be able to kill much the turn it comes down. So I think as Planeswalkers go, this is a very fair Planeswalker. It's not oppressive. It's not make this unblockable, hit you with an unblockable Dream Trawler, because it bounces back to your hand. So you're looking for things like you want to be making your Charming Princes unblockable. You want to be making your wizards that come in and draw you a card, or whatever you're doing. You want to be making your Cloud Blazers unblockable. Hit them for 2 and then cast your Cloud Blazer again. So it's my sort of deck, a Durdley round deck. It's not an oppressive deck. It doesn't go in every control deck. It doesn't go in every deck. It just goes in maybe a Panamonican deck in Historic.
Yeah.
And I will say, when you said it goes in Enchantress deck, there's that Archon of
Sun's Grace.
Sun's Grace. I was going to say Grace. Yeah, Archon of Sun's Grace.
Yeah.
Where you get a Pegasus every time an enchantment enters the battlefield. If you've got that and you cast this for X's 3 or 4, X is 1. You make a 2/2 Pegasus.
And then you -1 it and make another 2/2 Pegasus.
Yeah, or you cast if X is 4 and then you -1 it, and you're like, oh my god, you just flood the board. So I think they synergize very well together. I imagine every deck you see this in, you'll see that Pegasus in, or some other constellation pair.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
It's not the most.
Them sort of decks already play like Archon of Sun's Grace and stuff anyway.
Yeah,
so like, maybe it goes in like a Urian 80 card deck.
Yeah. Where
stuff.
Yeah, because you've got things like when artifacts. So you've got like Elspeth Conquers Death, and you've got other artifact synergies, and then if you've got a few artifact payoffs, you might not even play it in Urian. You might not. Urian doesn't really bounce this very well.
That's true. Yeah.
Because the modes aren't that powerful, are they? I mean, you can +1 bounce. You can -1 bounce and then -1 the other -1 and kill something for 4 or something. I don't know what you do with it, but yeah, because it brings you back at the end of turn, doesn't it? So Urian. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think Urian blinks it very well, but maybe some sort of historic Panamonican deck. I like it, and I think it's fair.
I like that ability. The shard ability is good.
Yeah. I feel like them big enchantments makes them a bit more powerful, weirdly, because we've just had Theros. So while Theros is in rotation, this is a better card.
Mm-hmm.
We have a card that was spoiled quite early on and caused some debate. This Pyre of Heroes for 2 mana. It's an artifact. It says pay 2 mana, sacrifice a creature, and then you get to search your library for a creature card that shares a creature type with a sacrifice creature and has converted mana cost equal to 1 plus that creature's converted mana cost. Put the card in the backfield, then shuffle your library. Activate this ability only any time you could cast a sorcery.
So this card reminds me a lot of Fiend Artisan, which is it's Birthing Pod, isn't it? That's the card I'm thinking.
Birthing Pod is the card that's banned in Modern.
Yeah. So this feels like a fixed version of that, but it feels like Fiend Artisan as well, because it does pretty much the same thing.
Fiend Artisan, if I remember, is pay X. And it's pay X, sacrifice a creature, and then search for a creature with convert mana cost X and put it into play.
Yeah.
And Fiend Artisan hasn't seen play, so I think this is absolutely fine. People say, "Oh my god, you've printed Birthing Pod in Standard," and you haven't really. It only goes in tribal decks. It's fixed. It goes in any tribal deck. Yeah, Sorcery Speed. Fiend Artisan is a powerful mythic, but that doesn't see play.
Yeah.
Or at least not at the moment. It might see play in like the Golgari Death Touch deck, maybe, if there is one or something, but I don't know. This is good. I like it. I haven't worked out how to break it yet, but it goes well with that one that makes everything the same creature type. But it's fixed as well, so you can only do convert mana cost 1+, and it has to be exactly that.
Yeah.
So you can sack a 3-drop to a 4-drop and so on.
So not like your Vannifar combo deck.
My Vannifar combo deck was not very fair. You're paying mana for this as well. Vannifar did not see play outside a very weird infinite combo deck, but you need a lot of pieces to start it off. This you're having to pay 2 mana, so even if you find a way to untap it with Corridor Monitors and in Historic Thassa, Thassa can't untap this, can it?
Thassa
untaps creature or land, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Thassa can't untap this. So if there is a chain where you go it, you're going to run out of mana. So I don't think this is broken like some people did when it first got printed.
Yeah, I agree.
But
what card does it remind me of as well? I can't remember the name of it now. Oh, it's gone.
Eldritch Evolution.
Yeah, it's similar to Eldritch Evolution as well. Yeah.
And then
I think
Neoform.
Neoform's probably better in historic than this.
Yeah. Eldritch Evolution isn't historic, is it?
No.
Because that was Eldritch Moon.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think Neoform just does it better in historic.
Yeah, this is repeatable. Neoform's a once-off though, so
yeah,
maybe I think this is more of a value one than you play like a toolbox. You play like you one Knight of Grace and you one Charming Prince or two Charming Princes, and you know.
Yeah, maybe.
And you kind of use it to just I play my Charming Prince of Scry 2, and I'll sack my Charming Prince to get a Knight of Autumn and destroy that thing, and then next turn I'll sack my Knight of Autumn to get my 4-drop, my Dryad of Elysian Grove, or whatever you need, you know, and you just have a bit of a toolboxy enter the battlefield thing. But yeah, I don't think it's broken, so it might not even see play.
Yeah.
Standard is fast at the moment, and this might be a bit too mana intensive to keep going. We have Fenrir. Sarulf, Realm Eater. It is 1, a black and a green for a legendary creature that's a wolf. It might be our first legendary wolf. It's a 3/3. And whenever a permanent an opponent controls is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on a Sarulf Realm Eater. At the beginning of your upkeep, if Sarulf has 1 or more +1/+1 counters, you may remove all of them. And if you do, exile each other non-land permanent with converted mana costs less than or equal to the number of counters removed this way.
So this is like a blast zone, I guess, on a creature, or a ratchet bomb, I think, is the card in Modern. If it's okay. I don't think it's good enough for constructed.
Really? My biggest issue is that it's not a May for the top ability.
Yeah.
So let's say they've got a lot of 3-drops and you're on 2 counters, and then you kill 2 things or whatever, or they, you know, in response to something, you know, they can. Oh, I suppose you can do it instant speed, can't you? You'll get 2 counters separate. I'm thinking if they kill 2 things, you'll build 4 counters. But weirdly, because the triggers are stacked separately, after the 3rd one goes on, you can respond. So maybe it's better than I thought it was.
It does exile at least as well.
Yeah.
And it says each other non-land. Oh, I thought, okay, so it doesn't exile itself.
It doesn't exile itself, and it exiles your stuff.
Yeah.
But Blast Zone destroyed your stuff as well, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it doesn't have evasion, it doesn't have trample, you can't protect it very easily, it doesn't do something the turn it comes down. I just don't think it will see play.
No, I agree. I just don't think it's good enough.
And Matt's corrected me. It's the beginning of upkeep, so it's worse than I thought. Yeah, I thought it read like that. So basically, if you're trying to kill some of their stuff with 3 CMC, and you on 2 counters, if you kill one of their stuff, they can crack a Fabled Passage before it triggers or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you'll have too many counters. Yeah, I just don't think it will see play. It's not a May ability. You have to put the counters on, and so they have a bit of say of how many counters he's got.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, I don't like it. It dodges Heartless Act.
Yeah, I guess. Once it gets a counter on it, yeah.
Yeah. We have another the Boros Rare Saga. It's Showdown of the Scalds. It's 2, a red and a white. And it says exile. The first law counter is exile top 4 cards of your library until the next end of your next turn. You may play those cards. And the next 2, it's whenever you cast a spell this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control.
So this might be a curve topper in the the aggro decks, just so that they can basically draw 4. 4 mana, draw 4 is what this card is basically saying.
Yeah, and you may play them so you can play lands as well.
Yeah. So 4 mana, draw 4 in Boros is probably good enough. You probably only play like 2 of them in the Boros deck, but yeah, I think I'd consider it. Yeah.
If the Boros Warriors / equipment deck, I think this is eminently playable.
Yeah.
When you and you put in +1/+1 counters on creatures you control as well. So when you cast spells, you can even put the +1/+1 counters on the creature you've just cast.
You're going to be playing an aggressive deck, so you can probably.
I know. Apologies, but you can't do that.
Yeah, you have to have creatures already on the battlefield. But yeah, you're probably going to double spell because you're playing a low to the curve creature deck.
Well, once you've drawn 4, you'll double spell, won't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can follow up a really good turn 5, because you'll draw a card and you've got 4 cards basically to play with. So you pretty much a full hand.
Yeah, this might not see play, but it's a way to get you card advantage. I think refill your hand. I mean, Experimental Frenzy saw play in the mono red kind of, and it feels like it might be the same niche, not as good as Experimental Frenzy, but it's the second and third law counters allow you to pump your team.
If you can win on the turn 5 after you've cast this, I think that'll be the line.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like it.
I don't know. In Historic, would you not rather play? What was that one that was same mana cost and it made you 2/1/2/1/1s and may give all your creatures +1/+1 and haste?
Oh yeah, Heroic Reinforcement.
Yeah, I think that feels like the card that wins you the game more than this one does. But maybe we don't have that card in the stand at the moment, so
yeah.
This is the Simic Saga. It's a green and a blue for a Saga, which has 3 law counters, obviously. The first one is create a 2/2 blue shapeshifter creature token with Changeling. The second one is any number of target shapeshifters you control have base power and toughness 4/4. I'll come back to that one. And choose up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. Each creature with power 4 or greater you control deals damage equal to its power to that permanent.
So I'll let Steve talk about that second thing.
So it doesn't say until the end of turn. And this doesn't appear to be a translation, so we are believed to believe that all your shapeshifters are now 4/4s. Base power 4/4.
Whilst this is on the battlefield. No.
No.
Or the creatures that you have that are. So yeah, so you have to have like targets. So you have to have like, because it says targets, right?
Yeah.
So you have to have a 2 CM. So you get the token already.
Yeah. And then it's a 4/4.
Yeah, and you've got to have like if you want to play a 2 CMC token or a 2 CMC changeling.
Yeah. So basically, it makes all your shapeshifters 4/4s forever.
Yeah.
So not future ones you play, but those. And so that's. I remember when Chance for Glory was printed, it says creatures you control gain indestructible. Not to the end of turn. I mean, you're about to lose the game the next turn after, but like it reminds me of that. So weirdly, in some sort of changeling tribal, this is a card. You make all your changelings 4/4s.
Yeah, interestingly, in Modern Horizons as well, I think there was like an artifact 1/1 that was a shapeshifter.
Yeah, or a changeling. Shapeshifter. Yeah, I mean, changelings are shapeshifters, aren't they?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, maybe you could make some sort of aggressive shapeshifter deck in Modern with this.
Yeah. Don't think it's a thing you cast on turn 3. I think it's a thing you cast when you've got a few others out there. You've got, bear in mind, you've got that artifact we said wasn't good enough that you can put mana in to make changeling. So I don't know. I don't think it's play. I don't think it's going to see play. But the last one is you can turn all your changelings to kill something effectively. It's a one-way fight. So maybe not.
It's a cool card, but if you just get board wiped, the third ability does nothing, the second ability does nothing.
Yeah. So it has to be in a changeling or shapeshifter tribal, and I don't think that exists. So
yeah, I don't think there's enough cards for it.
But just wanted to mention that second one because that might be the reason you play it if you can get enough changelings down.
Yeah.
Right. What an excellent tattoo that is. The Blood Sky Massacre is a Rakdos rare saga. It's 1 black and red, and the first law counter says create a 2/3 red demon berserker creature token with menace. Part 2 is whenever a berserker attacks this turn, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. And then 3, add a red mana for each berserker you control. Until the end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end.
So this thing, it makes a guy when it enters at least. So that's okay. So we get immediate value. Whenever a berserker attacks this turn, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. So if they remove that berserker you just made, that feels bad.
Yeah.
Unless you've got a 2 CMC 1 down or a 1. But I mean, you probably are, because there's probably not enough berserkers in standard or in this new set to make the deck viable, in my opinion.
There's not enough rare ones. We've gone through all the rares and we haven't seen many.
Ones.
Yeah. So I think in limited it's not the sort of thing you play on turn 3. I think you play it when you've already got berserkers out. So even if they kill one of them, you've got others to kind of gain that thing. You really need to be attacking with berserkers on turn 2 to make this playable. and I think it's too. A lot of the time, I think the best sagas are the ones that you always want to be playing on turn 3, like History of Benalia.
Yeah.
And things like that. You want to be playing some of these sagas on turn 3, so that by the time the third law counter comes in, you're set up to go off. And this one, I just don't think you're going to be doing that.
Yeah, and what's the final one? Add red for each berserker you control until end turn. You don't lose this mana.
Yeah. I mean, you'll have hopefully drawn. And the idea being, you play it, you attack with your berserkers with menace. Hopefully they don't die. You've drawn two or three cards, and then you can use the mana you've got with all the berserkers you've got to play the cards. But that's relying on your opponent not doing anything and you having the perfect curve. So I just don't see this. The art's cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
This is the Azorius Saga. It's a rare. It's a 1, a white, and a blue, and it has 3 law counters. The first one is create a 1/1 blue bird creature token with flying. You gain 2 life. Part 2, whenever one or more creatures you control with flying deal combat damage to a player, look at that player's hand and draw a card. And part 3, you may put a card you own from outside the game on top of your library.
So this is a weird one because this one doesn't really care about tribes or anything. So it's probably more focused on the flying aspect. So this can go in like maybe some flying deck. Like I'd consider putting this in my Azorius Spirits deck maybe, just to get the flying trigger. So it's when it's right. So you don't get it for each creature, I guess.
Yeah.
That second one. Look at that player's hand, and then you get to draw cards. So you're getting information, and you're also getting a card out of it. Third ability is just weird, though. You may put it
Mastermind's Acquisition sort of play, and Khan, the great creator, sort of play, be able to kind of like in the tutorable sideboard, and Fire of Wishes sort of play. So I think that ability is good, and the fact that on this particular occasion you might get to look at their hand, makes this in the realms of being playable.
That's fair.
But it goes in like you said, it has to go in a deck with flyers. You have to be drawing a card of that second ability to make this good.
It doesn't just go in like a control deck or something, because the Birth of Meletis is just better.
Yeah, and they just, if the only creature you've got is the 1/1 bird you make off this, they just go stomp.
Yeah, exactly.
And then
you want to be playing a flying tribal deck. Yeah, I think.
And then you're waiting to turn 5 to, and even it's not even if you cast this on turn 3, it won't be till turn 6 you'll get that card you've tutored. And against like mono red, it's like, oh well, look in the hand they've got a Torbrand, but you don't get that card till turn 6. So I don't think it will see play, but I like the fact that part 2 and part 3 they all kind of work with each other in this one.
Yeah.
Do you think it'll see play?
No, probably not.
Yeah.
It's close, but yes, unfortunately not. There's not a flying deck, so yeah.
Yeah, I even don't think it's that great in limited unless you're playing flyers, because you're going to have your best cards in your deck anyway. Why would you have something in your sideboard that's good? Yeah. So we have this guy. I don't know who this guy is. Valky, God of Lies, 1 and a black for a 2/1 legendary creature. God. It's a flip card, obviously. When Valky enters the battlefield, each opponent reveals a hand. For each opponent, exile a creature card revealed this way until Valky leaves the battlefield. And you may pay X to choose a creature card, exile with Valky, with converted mana cost X specifically, and Valky becomes a copy of that card. Oh my god! It was Tybalt all along.
Oh no.
Tybalt, the Cosmic Imposter. Finally, a good Tybalt, maybe. It's expensive. It's 7 mana. It's 5 a black and a red for 5 loyalty planeswalkers. And when Tybalt enters the battlefield, you gain an emblem. You may play cards exiled with Tybalt, Cosmic Imposter, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any colour to cast those spells. And you gain that emblem, which means you can +2, and even if Tybalt then dies, you get to do the thing, because +2 is exile top card of each player's library. The -3 is exile target artifact or creature, and then the -8 is exile all cards from all graveyards and add 3 red mana.
So I think this is the first Planeswalker ever that creates an emblem when it enters. I'm pretty sure that
there was Gideon. A lot of the Gideons had 0 emblems and things.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we actually had to activate it though to do it.
Yeah, you're correct. You had to waste the first turn. I think you're right. Actually, this might be the first turn.
But yeah, going back to the other half of it, it's pretty good. Like, so all these sort of cards see play, like
Lazav.
Lazav sees play. The X. What's the The one from Ixalan, that pirate that saw their hand.
Oh, Kite Sail Freebooter.
Yeah, that's who's play. That's them sort of cards see a fair bit of play. And this is very similar to them.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you get to like rip a card out and then cast it later on, or even on the next turn, pretty good.
I mean, if you manage to rip a Croxer, the next turn you to become a Croxer and attack for 6.
Yeah. Millie does go into their bin, but yeah.
Does it?
Yeah. Oh. Choose a creature card exiled with it.
Yeah.
Oh, it becomes a copy. Oh, this becomes a copy of that card. Sorry, I thought you just get to cast it. Yeah.
No, Valky. So you don't get to cast it. So it's not that good, and they will get the card back when Valky leaves. But if you hit the right thing, you could just take their removal spell.
Yeah.
And then you've taken the removal spell, so they haven't got a removal spell for the other creatures. They can't remove Valky until they draw another one, and then.
It has to exile a creature card though.
Oh, that's true. Okay, but yeah, you can get. I think you can get some decent ones. You can get Croxer, you can take Rob of the Rich or whatever. You can take Questing Beast, and then they need to find removal to get the Questing Beast back, which in mono green they might not find.
Yeah.
And eventually you can keep 4 mana up, and then you've got your own Questing Beast, haven't you?
Yeah. And then the Tibalt side. So I don't think the way you're ever really going to cast this unless you're playing maybe a Grixis control deck. That could be quite good. However, Cascade is a thing. Cascading, casting a... No, not... Is it Cascade? Yeah, I think it is Cascade. So Cascade will... If you cast a 3 mana Cascade card that does this thing and it says Cascade on it, you can choose which side of this card you want to cast. Which is
pretty good, isn't it?
Obscenely powerful. Just putting Tibalt down instead of the other side.
Yeah, on Tibalt's Trickeries in the same deck, you can have that bit more janky. Yeah.
So yeah, that's very powerful.
I think this is good.
It is very good.
I think the -3 is worse than Kaya. Kaya's -3, but it's got removal to it, and you're exiling something, which can be potentially decent. You can get rid of artifacts as well, which black can't often do, and you can exile, which red can't often do. So it gives you an ability in black and red that the other one can't often do.
I think you're always getting value from this thing. So the fact you get that the emblem as soon as it enters, and then you can, even on a completely empty board, and he's the only thing on the board, you can still +2, and you still get some cards in exile that you can then cast, even if they remove this.
You can play as well. You can play lands. So.
Yeah,
and this is good in Commander. So you get one from each opponent, and you can have Valky as your commander.
Again, it has to be Rakdos, the colours, but yeah.
I think this is good but not busted. 7 mana is a lot for Planeswalker, and 1 more mana you've got Ugin, so I don't think it's broken. I'm not even sure it will see standard play, but I like it. It's card advantage. It feels like a bit of the the Chandras where you +2 exile a card and you can play it to the end of turn and things like that. And sometimes
go on.
You sometimes see those Chandras just as curved toppers in decks, just so that because of the card advantage. If nothing else, you can do you get card advantage, and that's the same with this one.
But I think if it does see standard play, it'll be the other side. The 2 mana, but yeah, Valky, he just might be good enough. He might be good enough just for standard play, especially if the meta gets pretty creature heavy.
Yeah, the Planeswalker side alone is not good enough. It's because you can, if you draw it on turn 2 or draw it on turn 7, they're both good.
Mm-hmm.
I say good but not great. Good but not busted.
I mean, I'd probably just consider it playing it in a mono black deck and just not even looking at the Tibalt side of it.
You'd splash red just in case.
Maybe.
You'd have a Fable Passage. You'd have 4 Fable Passages in 1 mountain, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe a couple of the Scry Temples or something. I think you would. Right, this is the other pair for the Foretold deck. This is Vega the Watcher. It's 1, a white and a blue for a 2/2 flyer. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, you draw a card.
So yeah, this also works with adventures.
Oh, I didn't consider that. I was just thinking of cards in this set that it worked well with.
Yeah. But yeah, Foretell.
Yeah, Foretell, Brazen Borrower, things like that. Not many adventures you play in white, is there? But like Brazen Borrower, Fair Wishes, maybe. But when we were talking about payoffs for like synergistic decks, there was the horse that flashed in, and then you could foretell cheaper and whatever. And we were talking about you need for a second payoff, otherwise you need to see the horse in your hand. So, I think this is the second payoff. It is 3 mana.
Yeah.
But hopefully you foretold something earlier. You maybe cast this on turn 4 or 5 when you can cast this, and then you can foretell something, and you draw the cards off, and then everything you're foretelling, and then you're drawing cards off it, and it kind of churns you through your deck.
Yeah. But it's legendary, so
yeah,
can't have too many of them. It does die to Stomp.
I think in the deck you play it, and you probably have to play 4, even though it's legendary. It's so important to have in that deck that they're going to try and kill it anyway. So the fact that it's legendary,
it's very easily removed.
Yeah, the fact that it's legendary means you play a second one anyway. So, right, we have our Ghoul Saga, the rare one. It is 4, a red and a green. It's the first one is destroy target land. Second one is put land card from the graveyard onto battle from your control, and then it's choose target opponent. If they control fewer lands than you, create a number of 4/4 green troll warrior creature tokens with trample equal to the difference.
So I like this in the Genesis Ultimatum deck. I think that's really good.
On any deck with Cultivate and Beanstalk Giant,
yeah,
and where you've got land-based ramp, this is good. Imagine if you're going first and neither side has got land-based ramp, you play this, you destroy land, you get to play an extra land from a graveyard, even the one you've just destroyed from theirs, because it's from a graveyard, and then you untap. You should be 2 lands up on them.
Yeah,
they're down 1, you're up 1. You should be 2 lands up on them. You get two 4/4s.
Yeah, it's you really want to try and maximize that. It's a good setup card. That's what I really like about it. It's a really good setup one. But yeah, hitting this off at Genesis Ultimatum seems really good, especially if you get a load of lands down as well.
Yeah, and this will break a board stall potentially. They've all got trample. Yeah, this is powerful. It is 6 mana. So you're not really cheating, even with the Genesis Ultimatum, you're not cheating into play because Genesis Ultimatum is 7. So you're not really cheating in. And it takes a few turns, and they can see what's coming. And obviously, if this is going to win you the game, they maybe have to think about ECD it, Elspeth Conquers Deathing it or something like that. So they see it coming. It's not like 6 mana make 4/4s, because that would be broken. That would be very powerful. It's good.
It is good. I don't know if it'll see play though, because it's one of these cards that requires you to do everything on the saga to get it to really work.
Yeah. So I think in decks that are already ramping in terms of land-based ramp, I think not mana docs but land-based ramp. I think this might be a 2 of. I think it's fine. It could be, obviously, if there's the land destruction deck going as well, you could be ramping and destroying their lands, and then yeah. So it's not broken, but it's potential for curve topper in that sort of deck.
Game ending too.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if they play Wraths, not so much. Against control decks, you might even take it out because they're going to be hitting their land drops, even taking them down a land for a turn. I don't know how good that is. They know it's coming, so they hold onto their Wrath. And if you think they've got like Elspeth Conquers Death in their hand and they haven't killed it, they've got a Wrath. So I'm not sure how great it is. This is the only uncommon artifact we have. It's Weathered Runestone. It's a 2 mana artifact that has a similar ability to one we've seen recently. It's non-permanent cards in graveyards and libraries can't enter the battlefield, and players can't cast spells from graveyards or libraries.
Okay, so this you can still foretell stuff, so it doesn't stop foretell.
Yeah, and it doesn't stop adventure either.
Yeah. Is Grafdigger's Cage probably just better? I think so.
Yeah, it's just not in standard at the moment, is it?
Yeah.
Grafdigger's Cage. That rotates out.
So yeah, Grafdigger's Cage in Historic is probably just better. I don't know if there's like a I suppose it stops Croxer.
It stops Croxer. It stops the Snow deck. If you're playing into Snow deck that's trying to reanimate, it stops the Changeling that can see the top of the library. It stops Genesis Ultimatum, I think. Because that's look at the top 5 cards of your library, put them into play. So you don't exile them and then picking them. So I think it stops enough in standard that it will see play in sideboard. It will not obviously see main deck play.
Yeah, it's definitely a sideboard card. Just trying to think of the decks like currently in standard that it beats. I suppose it stops Lurrus Rogues.
Stops Lewis, yeah. Stops Croxer. Stops. I think what's the other one? Is it Crook of Condemnation or the one from Theros? Silent Crook. I can't remember the name of the card.
There was one in
Soul Guard Lantern is the one I'm thinking of. That's the other sideboard card. And I think this will be competing against that. I think that exiles the
graveyards, yeah.
But this stops Library's shenanigans. So maybe you play a mix of them, or maybe this one just turns out to be a bit better. You don't exile the graveyards, but you stop them casting stuff from it.
Yeah. I'm not fussed on it personally. I think there's just better cards that do things.
In Historic. Yeah, I think
Historic for sure. It doesn't beat Grafdigger's Cage.
I think it's a sideboard card at best.
Yeah.
And that's it. So favourite multicolored or artifact. I know what mine is. Mine's that.
Slows. Nico. Okay.
Yeah. And there's a lot of sagas, isn't there?
I like the Angel Saga a lot. That's probably the best saga, I think, in the set.
Because you can clearly see what deck it's going in, and you can clearly see it's good in that deck. Yeah, I might agree with you there. There are some other good sagas that play well, and you're building around a lot of these sagas. You're building your whole deck around them. So
the Elf one is also very good.
Yeah, that's powerful. So I think you're going with the Angel one.
Yeah, Angel.
My favourite, whether it's not the most powerful, is Nico Aris, I think.
Nico's cool.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
Right, we've got one last thing to look at, and that's just lands. So we're going to look at some rare lands and then the 2 land cycles in the deck. So there are actually 3 land cycles in the deck. The first one, we're not going to look at every card in it. We're just going to look at some of them. Okay, that is in every colour pair, you've got an uncommon land that you can sacrifice to do something. So we're going to look at the ones that, in my opinion, I think might see some play or compare to some cards in the past that I've seen play. First one is Gates of Istfell. It's an uncommon land. It comes in tapped like they all do and adds 1 white, but you can pay 2 white and a double blue to sacrifice it. You gain 2 life and draw 2 cards.
So I think control decks might play this as a one-off. It coming in tapped hurts it a bit, but yeah, I think they might just play this as a one-off. As a, if they're running out of gas or whatever, they've got this to refill or at least buy them time.
When Big Teferi was a thing in Dominaria, there was Memorial to Genius. Mm-hmm. And that was very similar. It was it was just a blue one, came in tapped for blue, and it was 4 and a blue, draw 2 cards. That saw play. That was 2 of in most control decks, and I think this, especially if there's a 2-color control deck, 3-color, maybe it's a bit too. Comes in tapped, only taps are 1 color, and you need double blue to crack it. Maybe, but I think in 2-color control decks, I think that if they become a thing, this will see play.
Definitely.
Next one is the Gruul one. This is Not Fold Slumber Mound. And it enters the battlefield taps for red, and it's 6 mana, 3 red and double green to tap it, sacrifice it, and destroy target land, and then you create a 4/4 green troll warrior creature token with trample.
It works well with that saga. So yeah, if you
cast a saga on turn 6, you crack this on turn 7. Yeah. You put yourself down a land though.
That's true.
So you want the difference.
You get the troll to replace it, I guess.
You get the troll to replace it. So I think this is. I mean, making a 4 from your land base and destroying their land. You could be destroying their Castle Garenbrig or their Castle Locthwain or whatever, or their 1 blue source or whatever. So I think this is in the realms of being playable. It depends how fast the Gruul deck needs to be.
Yeah, I think the Gruul decks need to be too fast. Like, you don't want to play tap lands. But, like, if you think about what Gruul Adventures plays at the minute. So,
more Team Ultimatum, do you think?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
This is the Rakdos one. It comes in tapped, adds a black. It's 1 black and 2 red. Sacrifice Immerstrom Skullcan, and it deals 3 damage to target player, and the player discards a card. You can only do this at sorcery speed. With these 2, you can do it instant speed, which is quite nice.
So, yeah, this one is basically Blightning, which is pretty powerful on a land, to be fair. I quite like this one, actually, to be playable.
Yeah, and again...
it only hits players, yeah. So
yeah, a bit like the other one, in the Rakdos deck, you don't really want tap lands.
Yeah. That's the problem with these sort of lands is
Yeah.
they've got a good effect for the deck, but yeah, you don't want to play tap lands.
I think the Rakdos deck I have in standard plays 8 of the lose 3 life, but you can come in on tap lands. It's so important for your lands to come in untapped. And other than Fable Passage, I don't play any potentially tap lands. So I don't know. But the Saga that makes them discard a card for the second one, and Rankle that makes them discard a card. You can really, I mean, against control, this is something you can hit control with. So maybe if control becomes a more prevalent thing, this sees more play. But the fact that you can do this from your land base is quite a powerful effect.
It's a shame there's sorcery speed, but
there was Ramanat Ruins could deal 2 damage to a player from your land base.
4 mana, I think, yeah.
And that was also 4 mana, although it was all red, mono red, and it itself came in untapped. So it was a better card, and that's all ban. This does 1 more damage, makes them discard a card, but it comes in tapped. So potentially, there's potential playability there. It's definitely within the realms of being possible.
I think because Ramanat Ruins got banned because basically it said every mono red, if you're playing mono red, your opponent starts on 18 life.
Yeah,
that's the way I think that they looked at Ramanat Ruins.
Yeah. But this is similar. Your Rakdos deck is doing damage from a lot of places. You're Croxering them. You're whatever. You're taxing their life total and their hand as well with a lot of what you're doing. So if you're going down the discard route with Rankles and even the Liliana that makes them discard a card as well, this will be in that sort of deck maybe.
The noticeable thing I think for these lands as well is the color that they tap for is the color that you need the minority amount of colors to actually pay for the effect.
Yeah. So it forces you to be in an even color split, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. This is the Simic one. Enter battlefield tapped, adds a blue, and it's 2 double green and a blue to sacrifice Litiara Mirror Lake. Create a token that's a copy of target creature control, except it enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 count on it. You can only do this at sorcery speed.
So you get like a spark double, but can't obviously hit Planeswalkers. So yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
I like this one.
We were talking about, when we were talking about that chariot, not really seeing play, we were talking about a green-blue token deck.
Mm-hmm.
This potentially can copy a shark. This can potentially make a token that other things can then copy. So there's a lot of things in here. If you're playing Sharknado and this lands in your thing, and you haven't got a spell to cast, you can just make them the shark.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in your land base, I don't think Simic decks need to have untapped lands turn 1 to the same extent. So potentially this, again, is just another creature from your mana base. So I just think they're all good effects in the right deck.
Yeah.
This is the Dimir one. Port of Carfell enters the battlefield tapped, and it adds a blue, and it's 3, a blue and double black. Sacrifice this, mill 4 cards, and return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped.
Reanimation on a land. Wow.
Yeah. And it mills as well, so if you haven't got anything, if you're desperate, you're like, okay, fine, I'm going to sacrifice this. Effectively, you need 7 mana for a lot of these.
Also instant speed.
Yeah. So yeah, if you've got,
but yeah, this one ain't.
If you've got like a Dream Trawler in your graveyard or something, they can't attack into you.
Yeah. Yeah, this could be maybe in like an Esper control deck, maybe.
I think this might see play in the Snow deck because of the ability to mill as well. So that's powerful. And then you look at that, I keep going back to that mythic reanimation spell that gets 2 creatures. You've got so many incidental, cheaper ways to bring back 1 creature, not in a tribe, So I just think reanimation at the moment, you've got so many different ways of doing that a spell that only reanimates. Yeah. There you go, Aaron. The World Tree enters battlefield tapped. It adds 1 green. That's all it does. Oh no. As long as you control 6 of my lands you control have tap, add 1 mana of any colour, and then you can Daughter Nothingness, or pay 2 mana of each colour to sacrifice the World Tree, search your library for any number of god cards and put them onto the battlefield, and then shuffle your library.
Okay, so constructed wise, I don't know if it will see play. Admittedly, though, it does just fix all your mana as long as you've got 6 or more lands, I guess.
Yeah.
Is there enough gods to warrant playing this card?
Well, how many gods are there? There are.
We got all the new ones.
There's 11, isn't there, in the new set, and then all the Theros ones.
Yep, and that's in standard, I guess. I think that's it. There's a commander card though. This card's insane.
So any number of god cards and put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. So you can put some of the god cards equipment side up, can you? You search for god cards.
So. Yeah, you should be able to. Yeah, you can play the other side of them.
And because they're god cards, so you can put Tybalt the Planeswalker that way up. Yeah. You can. Is Nick or Bolas from?
No.
Well, the Sparker God.
No.
It's not a Planeswalker God, no.
No, it's just a Planeswalker.
Okay.
Pretty sure. I think he just has Dragon God in his title.
All
right. As a commander card, though, I love this thing. Like, I think a lot of people will be building a commander deck around this because you just play Golos as your commander. It finds this card and puts it onto the battlefield.
Wow.
And then that last ability basically says tap 10 generic because this makes all your lands tap for any color. So I suppose, if you've got mana rocks and stuff, the mana rocks need to tap for specific colors.
Yeah, but it's not legendary.
I know.
So you can play 4 of it in standard, and you just need a way of maybe tutoring a land.
But do you play it? Do you not care about the last ability if you play this as a standard?
Oh no, in standard you have to be doing the last ability. I think you just play Dryad Elysian Grove if you want that chromatic land effect. Or you're playing that. Or you're playing that. The other flip one that gets the prismatic.
Oh, bridge, yeah.
Yeah. I think maybe it will go in that deck because potentially it will fix you for the Prismatic Bridge.
Yeah.
On turn 6, you can cast Prismatic Bridge.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So maybe. I think you're playing it Prismatic. You're playing it in a 5-color deck to fix you, or you're playing it in. I wonder if it's this historic Niv Mizzet deck where this goes in as well.
He didn't become a god, did he?
No, but he's one of each color.
Oh, right, I'm with you, yeah.
Yeah, and this will fix you for all the cards you draw from. So again, turn 6, play your Niv Mizzet. It's 5 mana Niv Mizzet, but you can cast it on turn 6 with this card in play.
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't need your mana to do it effectively. And then you can your Niv Mizzet, which is triple blue, triple red, you can play. So maybe this fixes you. This is like a chromatic lantern. Maybe this is a chromatic lantern that you can play 4 of in your mana base.
How many gods are there that ETB as well? Like, you got the Valky that does something on ETBs.
I think if you get that for free, you play the Planeswalker though.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh! You can get all the gods and play them one each side. It doesn't say gods with different names, it says god cards. So you can play Valky and Tybalt.
Yeah, that's true.
Ooh.
And then I'm just thinking with like the Pharos gods being able to turn on their devotion instantly, so they're all just instant creatures as well, most likely.
Yeah. So I think there's definitely a janky build around where you play God Tribal, a bit like you played when you had the Sanctums and you had Sanctum of All, and there was a janky deck built around that. I think that's the one from this set. I don't think it will be a tier, but I think it will be playable.
Yeah, it'll be an expensive guard purely because of Commander as well.
I think so.
The land that has the chromatic lantern effect on it alone is good enough.
You can only play in 5-color decks, though.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's restricted. It's not like Great Hand, which would go in any green deck. All right, this is one you have not seen, I think. This is Tyrite Sanctum. It's a land that taps for colorless. It has 2 abilities. One is pay 2 mana, tap it. Target legendary creature becomes a god in addition to other types. Put a +1/+1 counter on it. Or 4 mana, tap it, sacrifice it, put an indestructible counter on target god.
Okay, what is this? I don't even know where this goes. So you make something a god in addition to its other types, put a counter on it. Okay, so this is like 6 mana over 2 turns to make something indestructible, right?
Or 4 mana if you've already got a god.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Protect your god at instant speed.
Yeah. Unless it gets exiled.
So look at it this way. Let's imagine that you only use it for the first ability, and all you do is like, I've got a bit of extra mana, put a counter on this.
Yeah, I guess. It has to hit. Oh, right. So it also has to hit legendary creatures. Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay. So you put a counter on Questing Beast and it comes in late in the game.
Yeah.
You can late in the game. You can, if you've already put a counter on. Want something with the first ability, you can then just say what you're trying to remove. Okay, make it indestructible.
That's true.
I think you probably have to play it in a deck with gods in.
Yeah.
And it's a way to make your Kaldheim gods indestructible. It's also a way to pump other legendary creatures you control.
It's a shame it taps for colorless. That's why it's I'm struggling to, because it doesn't go in like the mono green deck then.
Probably not, no.
Yeah, the mono green legend deck. So
if it might not go in other 2 color decks, your mana might be too pinched.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm struggling to figure out where this goes.
I think in limited this is good, and I think in commander you'd play this a lot of the time because you just make your commander indestructible over 2 turns.
Yeah.
Make him a god, and then next turn we'll just hold it 4 mana if you need to, and make him indestructible.
And it's a permanent indestructible as well.
Yeah.
It's not end of turn. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's potentially a thing. I think if you play any of the new gods as your commander, you play this in the mana base. I think why would you not?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. And you can keep putting counters on.
Yeah.
So target question piece, put a counter on it. Next turn, put a counter on it. Next turn, put a counter on it.
Yeah, because it doesn't. Yeah,
so okay. I think in the certain decks, I think this might be a good mana sink, and maybe in a deck that cares about counters more than other things. If you've got a deck with legendaries that cares about counters, so like Vorinclex, I mean, come on, that's just 2 counters a turn on Vorinclex, isn't it?
That's true.
And then you can sacrifice it to make him indestructible. Oof.
Yeah, I'm not sure what deck it goes in, but yeah, if there is some sort of legendary deck, then yeah, maybe.
It's a powerful effect.
Yeah.
So that's all the individual lands. We're now going to look at the 2 land cycles. So the first land cycle is the pathways. So I'm just going to show you them all here. We've got Bark Channel Pathway, Tide Channel Pathway, and so on. And you can tell ones that they're paired up because they have the same first name sort of. So you've got the Simic land, you've got the Rakdos land, you've got the Golgari land, and you've got the Azorius land that we didn't get in Zendikar.
So yeah, I'm glad they completed this cycle so quickly. I think I've said this before about pathways, though. I think aggro decks benefit the most from them, more so than other decks, just because having like the splash color and being able to play either side of it untapped is huge for any aggro deck. So the red-black one, I think they'll all see play.
I think so.
They all see play in standard currently, all the ones from Zendikar. So yeah, I'm just glad they finished the cycle, really, and that they're all in tribal colors for this set, I guess.
I think it's close to being one of the best untapped land cycles there are, behind Fetches and Shocks. The fast lands were good, I suppose, for aggro decks. Not so good turn 4 onwards. These always come in untapped. So on decks that don't need excessive amounts of certain mana color symbols, they're some of the best lands there are.
Yeah.
There's an argument for it anyway.
Yeah, I'd definitely get playsets on purely just for like Pioneer as well.
Yeah.
They're some of the best lands in Pioneer.
And they look great. So really good, really good. They will see play all the way back to Pioneer. Not sure they'll see play in Modern because they're not fetchable, but they will see play Modern on a budget. If you've got a budget Modern deck, they're probably the best option potentially.
I think you should pick them up when the set releases as well. That's when they're usually the cheapest. I think they'll get more expensive over time, especially if Pioneer takes off more.
Yeah, when live play happens again. Yeah. And then the last land cycle we've got the ones we mentioned a bit. So at common, so very good for fixing your mana with a snow base. And common at limited, these are very good. These are snow lands. They tap for 2 colors. They come in tapped, but more importantly, they have land subtypes.
So they're fetchable, yes.
They are fetchable. So if you have something that cares about snow and you're able to fetch things, these are all fetchable and they're all snow.
So yeah, these are, I think they're purely in the set for limited, unless like the Sultai Snow deck is a thing. Because yeah, the other colors synergize with Snowlands, but at lower rarities. So yeah, they're fine. They're pretty cool.
Yeah. At common, the art's nice. Nice if they were full art, but I guess and the regular snow lands, I'm not sure what they look like actually. They might be. Oh yeah, they're a bit like this, aren't they? Where the bottom is frosted over.
Mm-hmm.
So they might see play in Pauper if there's snow-based shenanigans in Pauper. I think Skred is a deck in Pauper, and Skred cares about snowlands. So obviously, if you need to splash another color in Skred, this might be a way of doing it. And they're fetchable.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they're fine. Like for limited, it's brilliant. The common limited mana fix is brilliant.
So Arkham's Astrolabe is a problem in Legacy. I think there's like a Legacy Snow deck with Oko and Arkham's Astrolabe in. And I'm not sure that even these will see play in Legacy because they're fetchable snowlands that tap for 2 different colours. So if you haven't got Arkham's Astrolabe out, you might need the different colours to cast your Okos and whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't play Legacy to know whether these will see play, but I thought I'd mention them. So they might see play in some standard decks that care about snow, otherwise probably not.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
That's it.
That is the set review.
Awesome.
Yeah. So thanks for watching if you have. Before we go, I'm going to ask Aaron, have you got a favourite card in the set? A card you think's going to see... Or a card you're looking forward to playing with the most or the most play, whatever reason?
I'm definitely going to be playing Vornaclex across a few formats, like in Commander, hopefully in Limited. Fingers crossed I can open one. Yeah, and I'll be playing that card in a few places for sure. I think other colours now, what we've seen. I like the Wrath. The Doomscar's probably up. Doomscar and Vornaclex are probably my 2 favourite cards, actually, from the set. Doomscar is one of the most playable cards in the whole set.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think it will see play across most formats. Tybalt's Trickery might also see play across many formats. I think my favourite is the Planeswalker, Nico Aris.
Okay.
And I think the card might be one of the strongest is the Angel, the 2-foot Angel.
Yes, the Angel's very
in the right deck, that is it's just a payoff and a win con. It's just very good. So there, I think probably my 2 picks for cards I want to play around. Although I'm maybe looking to build some sort of big red deck as well, because when we look through the red cards, there's a lot of cards that cared about treasures and going big with dragons. So I might look into doing that as well.
Yeah, that's definitely a cool deck. I don't know what's the plans. A white blue Foretell deck, actually. That's a control deck rather, and having the counter spells and card draw. That's probably one of the first decks I want to build, even at the start of the meta, which is normally very aggressive based, just because I want to see how that plays out. I think that'll be a strong deck as well that will appear.
There's Angels, which is a new deck, and Clerics, which is an existing deck that I might build in and around depending on what cards I've got. There's some sort of control-based enchantment deck with Nico Aris because I like the card. I think improving my Rakdos deck, I'm going to put that 3/3 Flying Demon in instead of my Everquill Phoenix, I think, and then try and play with the Rakdos, the dual lands as well, the pathways into my Rakdos deck and see what I can do with that. Whether it's better to go down some sort of yoink sacrifice route instead of what I'm currently doing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm going to avoid green because green's too good.
I think the set will shake up the format a bit. I think it'll allow a control deck to break through. Yeah, hopefully not adventures off the top.
Yeah, well, I think Eldraine's still too strong.
Yeah, I don't think anything. It doesn't really. This set doesn't really stop rogues at all.
The Wrath might.
I still think Drown in Lock is still going to be a problem in the
format.
Well,
the Drown in the Lock needs. You can cast the Wrath on turn 3, and they might not be able to counter it because it's a 5-mana spell.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I suppose that can get around that.
So the Foretell stuff, weirdly, although you're casting it cheaper, actually works. It plays around Drown in the Lock a bit because. Yeah. So anyway, we'll see. Anyway, that's been our set review. If you like what we've done, please comment on the video below. Please follow us, myself on YouTube, and myself and Aaron on Twitch. I'm Steve Woo. He's Combat Wombat 22, is it?
222.
222, close. Combat Wombat 222. So follow us there. If you like a way we've done set reviews, just focusing on some of the cards we think we'll see playing standard, that's probably what we're going to go for in future. And we might, in the future, do some top 10 lists of cards we think are our favourites for various formats. So look out for that. But otherwise, I've been Steve.
I've been Aaron.
And we'll see you soon.
Thank you.